Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Jets Radio. This is one of your hosts, Tyson Roush, and a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. Free agency is alive and kicking. We're a day in with all kinds of news and notes and rumors and all kinds of craziness. But before we get started, obviously, we want to wish everybody the best of health, the best of luck. The very trying times in this country and this world, actually, it's very difficult, and we are not discounting that by no means. If this show is for a couple hours is cool, but, you know, we want to, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody. Stay home, stay safe, take care of your friends, take care of your family, take care of the elderly, help them when you can. And let me introduce the man of the people, Long Beach Joe. How you doing, man?
What's going on, Ty? Yeah, you know, I want everybody to stay safe out there. Like you said, it's a lot of trying times. We got the, virus going around. Stay home, stay safe, look out for your families, and I'm wishing you guys are all good. I hope everybody, comes out of it all right. We're going into football. We got free agencies here. We're definitely going to talk about, what we've done. I know some people are upset. Some people are disappointed. We'll get to it. I can't wait to talk about this. So listen, I am the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote our Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search Let's Talk Jets Radio. Like that page. Our content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message us. We'll message you right back. We love going back and forth with folks about this football team. Also, leave us some feedback. We love hearing about what you folks think we do here on the I'm fired up.
I'm fired up too, man. As always, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Talk Jets Radio. We're on YouTube, Let's Talk Jets Radio. There's plenty of content on there as well. If you want to listen to the show, we're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker. You can find us mostly on Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. And we appreciate it. Listen, all our sites are very active. All our social media we try to interact with everybody and give as much feedback as we possibly can. And Joe, it was so funny how free agency started because there was so much anticipation where everybody's like, we're going to go in, we're going to get all these guys, we're going to spend all this money. And lo and behold, the first few hours go by and nothing happens. And name by name are going off the board. And you could just see the panic setting in amongst like Jet fans who are like, what the hell is Joe Douglas doing? And then they signed George Fant. And I was like, when you're thinking about Conklin and Thuney and Glasgow, all these names, all these prominent players, and you come out with a guy from the Seattle Seahawks, we all know their offensive line was terrible. I was like, dude, what are we doing? And don't sell me a left tackle. It's basically a 1-year, $9 million deal is what it is if you look at it.
Yeah.
And we'll start with him. And I wasn't not going to lie. Like, I'm not an offensive line expert. I was not impressed by no means with that signing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's the thing is that I wasn't impressed at all. I was one of the people. I'm very patient. I'm a very patient Jets fan. I'm talking about, hey, we got to build, we got to do this, we got to do that. And, I wanted to see us sign some names. I talked about I had a plan. There was guys, on there that I thought we'd be able to get. And hell, some of those guys went for way less than what we thought. A lot of them, especially watch Seattle. I watch the Seahawks a lot. I actually have friends that are big Seahawks fans. I'm sorry. He's not good. Let me tell you. Stop talking to me about him being an athletic basketball player. There's lots of athletic players in the league that aren't good at football. Okay? There's a lot of guys that can do a lot of different stuff, but they're just not necessarily great at whatever it is they do in football. He's not like a good starting caliber tackle. Quick story, listen, he was in Seattle with Russell Wilson. He was getting him killed. Then he tore his knee up. I remember he had, reconstructive knee surgery in 2017 or 2018. He comes back after the Seahawks trade for Dwayne Brown. And then Fant comes back after that, and he was behind Brown at the left tackle spot. He could never start over Dwayne Brown. Couldn't even come close. So then he had no chance of starting there. So then they put him behind Jermaine Ifedi on the right tackle side. He was still trying to get acclimated and figure out how to play right tackle. Jermaine Ifedi, he couldn't even take him. He couldn't even take over the right tackle spot. And Jermaine Ifedi is a horrific tackle. He was terrible. That's just a walking penalty machine, and he was a horrid blocker. Look, we had a lot of needs. We did. And addressing the offensive line was number one. If you didn't see what happens when you don't properly address the offensive line, whether it be via the draft or time or whatever, just watching last season, we saw what happens. And like I said, I think we could have paid Conklin easy. What he got, like 3 years, $30 million guaranteed. I think it was like $42 million overall. We could have done that. We could have paid that to make sure that Sam would have a chance. I don't get this fan signing. I just don't.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, it's, you know, he's versatile. I mean, he's athletic. All the stuff we've talked about. Like, I don't like the signing either. Like, for me, a left tackle, to be honest with you, I would have rather brought Beecham back. I mean, I think Beecham's better than Fant. And I'm not even a huge Beecham fan, but the way I look at it is like this. All right, you bring him in, it could be depth. He's versatile. I still think they're going to go left tackle in the draft. So, like, he's a hold the fort guy. Like, I looked at him, like, I don't like the signing, but it's just, but the thing is, like, when we entered the free agency, my whole thing is we want to find building blocks. Like, we want to find guys that are going to be here the next 3, 5, 6, 7 years. And to me, right off the bat, like, he's not one of those guys that fall. Like, he's not, like, you're going to hold your breath for a year with him and see what happens. That's like, that's the kind of player he is to me.
Yeah, I don't get it. And I know that, you know, even with his deal, it's an easy out, like, after a year. So basically he's kind of like a Band-Aid guy. But like you said, we need to find building blocks. And even what you were just talking about, you look at this situation in the draft, you just say, well, we could just take a left tackle in the draft. Whoa, that's not necessarily true, dude. That's why I said we needed to do some things to kind of fast track what's been going on here, because we've been so void of talent, because we drafted, just because of that stuff. Look, I know we'll get to a lot of different stuff, but it's because of Sam. I don't understand this. Why everyone keeps acting like we can just keep rolling the dice and we can just keep doing whatever we need to do doing whatever we're doing with Sam here. Like, we don't have to re-sign him at some point. He's not going to be on this rookie deal forever. Listen, I watched other guys that could have really helped us go for it. Yeah, I just think we're playing a dangerous game, dude. We're playing a really dangerous game, and we need to put Sam in a position to win, or at least be able to compete with real weapons in the next 2 years. Because if you don't, you're going to have to pay him big-time money, and you'll still have questions about him. Dude, we just watched Ryan Tannehill get a deal for $29.5 million a year. Are you serious? There's no disrespect to Ryan Tannehill. You know, he played very solidly this year with the Titans, but $29.5 million a year for Ryan Tannehill? Dak just got franchise tagged. He'll get paid big time very soon. You got guys like Watson and Mahomes coming up for deals within the next 2 years. My goodness, man. Right now, I think the highest paid quarterback in the league is making like $35 million. I want to say it's Russell Wilson at $35 million. Dude, we could end up having to pay Sam north of that, especially after those 3 deals I just talked about, coming up for those young quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson as well will be coming up for a deal around the same time as Sam is, too. They took him the same draft. Stuff should have been in place. And I know we're going to talk about that all throughout the show. A lot of this stuff should have been in place. That's why I said, and I'll keep saying it, like I said, the mistakes we made, the mistakes we made today, we'll be paying for tomorrow. I said that years ago. Man, when I look at what all these other teams have done, too, if you look at what the Bills have done, they're built how we should have been built. Look at what they're doing with Allen. They're getting this guy weapons. They invested in their offensive line through free agency. That's why Morse is there. That's a free agent. They didn't draft him. Like, they've done things to do the same thing, man. I'm telling you, it's gonna be ridiculous here. I just kind of felt like there wasn't enough urgency in this free agency period with Joe Douglas. I wanted to see more. I'm not calling him a fraud. I'm not saying fire him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I wanted more.
Yeah, I'm right now. I'm still in the wait and see mode. Like, I don't like Fant. I like the Alex Lewis signing. Alex Lewis made sense to me. 3 years, $18 million, $6 million guaranteed. Versatile guy, tough, physical. That is fine. Connor McGovern, I like, actually. That's actually a center position, which was a huge need. You have Connor McGovern. You have Jonathan Harris in the middle. look at it, it's like, all right, left tackle to me is still a huge question mark, like you said. It's like, and that's arguably it's your most important position. Like, it's something you really, really got to worry about. And I'm gonna let Joe Douglas I'm gonna give him time on this because, it's like the Trent Williams thing is still out there. There's still other guys out there. There's still the draft. So I'm gonna give him some wiggle room with that. I'm not buying. I mean, it appears that Brian Winters is going to stay as of now, which is interesting. I'm not buying this Chuma Edoga as a starter. Like, please don't try to sell me this. Like, Joe, that there's just no way anybody's going to sell me that, and I will never buy it. I'll never buy that.
You can't do that. You cannot. Chuma at right tackle. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, so, but anyway, what are your thoughts on McGovern?
I thought McGovern solid signing. Depending on where they move him to, I thought that Harrison would end up being our starting center. But if McGovern here, like I said, he's our starting center, I thought the deal was solid as well. So I like that signing. But there just should have been more, man. There should have been quite a bit more.
Yeah, so. You got McGovern, you got Alex Lewis, the offensive line's a priority. They signed 3 linemen. It's a start. I mean, it's obviously the priority. They didn't spend money where I thought they were going to spend it, which is interesting. And now you look at what is your next move? Like, what do you like? To me, it's like, do you look at Robbie Anderson? Do you look at where else do you go with this now? Like, you're not spending a lot. They haven't spent a lot of money, so they have plenty of money to make moves, and they have plenty of holes. Like, what's your next move?
I'm looking at it like I don't know what you do at wide receiver. I would guess you start targeting wide receivers. Robbie, to me, I mean, he's still out there, but you got to think on up because Cooper just signed, so he'd be like the top guy out there. I don't think, again, I would spend more than $10, maybe $11 million a year on Robbie, but it seems like he wants more than that. So he's still waiting to bite. I mean, I don't know what you do at this point at all because there isn't like a lot left out there. Even, if you wanted to improve, I mean, hell, we were, losing other guys to other teams too. I know we looked into Kyle Van Noy, we looked into all these other guys. I know Floyd is out there. Maybe you take a swing at a pass rusher that's left over out there and try to find some little diamond in the rough. Maybe give him a 1 or 2 year deal, see if he can come in and give you some production. But man,
yeah, I mean, to me, it's like I
don't know if we did it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, man. It's like, do you go out there, Dante Fowler? Do you spend that kind of money, or do you keep going for these mid-tier guys? Like, I don't even know. I'm not even sure what approach the Jets are taking at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I don't think. I mean, for me, Fowler, you would definitely think about signing him, but it'd be how much you want to give him. I mean, Joe Douglas seems like he's a guy that does not want to potentially whatsoever or decent amounts of money in free agency at all. So I don't know what the plan would be. I mean, Dante Fowler would make sense to me as long as he wasn't asking for you to just completely break the bank and just pay him wildly. But man, I don't know where the Jets will go from here.
All right, what we'll do is we're going to go to the calls, get people on, because we got a lot of people on hold, and we'll see what happens. So let's see. We're going to go to Tyrone first. Tyrone, what's up, man?
Yo, hey, man, dark days, but let's talk Jets. Let's get it popping. I like the Alex Lewis signing. I still think we take a tackle. And to be honest with you, man, I'm kind of going to give him a little leeway, man. Like Tyson said, I kind of want to see what he does. I mean, I like the fact that he's not going out here just spending money like crazy just to sign a name, man. I kind of like that. Like, he sets his line. That's what I think you're worth, so I'm going to give you. Take it or leave it, you know what I mean? So, and free agency doesn't start with the first wave. We're just so used to spending so much money and getting players without building up a team. And I think that his philosophy is I'm going to build this team the best way I see fit. And if I got to get mid-level players to do it, that's what I'll do. So I'm comfortable with that, man. As for Robbie, I hope Robbie comes back, man. But, I think they're looking at between 11 and 12. And I think Robbie wants north of that. So, we'll see. What you guys think?
Yeah, initially I was just like, I wasn't really sold on Fant too much. I was like, this isn't what I was looking for. Like it's just athletic. But you just look at the way he played in Seattle. He wasn't a starter. It was kind of weird to me. But then it's like, all right, now you got Connor McGovern was kind of refreshing. I like Alex Lewis, versatile guy. So, it's interesting, man. It's a start. I think we just had high expectations. We wanted all these bigger names.
Especially when he's saying he's going to fix the line. I will say one thing, though. I do want him to upgrade Winters, man. I just, I've been harping. Winters is just, to me, is the weakest link on the line, whenever he's on the line. I just think we need to upgrade Winters. I think it's just time, and you need to move forward and get somebody else in that position that can be more productive and be, be more forceful. I just think it's time to move on. But like I said, it's still early in this game, man. It's going to be a long thing. We have a methodical type GM now. We don't have a GM who just grabs the first player. He's going to find the right pieces, man. So let's see what our finished product is when he's done building. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I still think we take a tackle with the 11th pick of the draft, and I still think we get a good one. You know what I'm saying? Then all is done. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind trading for Trent Williams. You know what I'm saying? But mine is that he wants $20 million a year. Yeah, bro, you can keep that. You know what I'm saying? That's $20 million a year for a guy who ain't played last year. That's a lot. It's a lot. So
what's your so Tyrone? We addressed some issues. I think we can all agree that left tackle is still a hole. We still want a right tackle. Brian Winters. I mean, that's kind of interesting what they're going to do there. But what's your next move, man? Because they have plenty of cap space. There's plenty of guys available. Do you try to get Robbie Anderson? Maybe his market's coming back a little bit. Do you try to go after him, or do you say, hey, you know what? We can draft a wide receiver. Let's go make a play at Dante Fowler or one of these pass rushers that are out there.
I mean, right now, I would say all three.
Brian Poole.
I would do all three. I would go with Robbie. I would go with Brian Poole, and I look at another cornerback, Prince Muka, whatever his name is, from Chicago. I look at him, and Mukamura, and I definitely look at bringing in Fowler. I definitely think bringing in a pass rusher. I think that has to be done because you're not going to be able to get one in the draft that's going to be able to compete and whatever. I still think we made a mistake by not going after Vic Beasley. He signed for $9 million, a proven deal. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of guy we need. Somebody who can get some kind of disruption on the end, and that's our biggest issue. So if Fowler's the one they want to go after, go ahead and give him a 2-year deal. You know what I'm saying? Something around $25 million. $18 million guaranteed, see what happens. You don't have to give him a long period of deal, but we need a guy like that. We need a pass rusher. But I said go with Robbie, offer Robbie a good contract. But see, I also heard they were talking to Dorsett. So if Robbie falls through, I think Dorsett's going to be their fallback guy. You know what I'm saying? I think they're going by piece, man. But I like that Robbie back. I think the problem with Poole getting Poole re-signed is he's the best slot corner in free agency. So he's going to basically get what he wants. So I think that's the biggest issue with him. And I think to be honest with you, we probably will not get him back. I think he has come with a whole new plan who's going to sign and replace Poole if he doesn't get him back. I think it's a mistake, but he doesn't want this guy's frugal, so he doesn't want to spend all his money. But Poole, I would definitely bring back. Robbie, 11, 12, maybe even 13, I'll bring back. Fowler, I just go after that. Prince Mukamura, I'll bring that guy in. It's just certain moves I would make, small moves that could be, could make us a better full team.
Yeah, first off, Tyrone, I want to thank you for calling in, man. This was kind of crazy. I know some people were disappointed. Like you said, there's still time. There's still stuff coming up, but still moves that could be made, things we could do. But I know you talked about signing guys, but do you think that there's any trades that the Jets can make to kind of get themselves better?
Well, I tell you what, man, and I'm gonna say this right here: Buffalo's not playing, but also that's a dumb trade they made, bro. That's a lot to give up for Diggs, man. I'm sorry, that was a lot. Trent Williams would be the only trade I really would make. I'll be honest with you. I would. You know what? My man from Jacksonville. But it depends on what they wanted. If we can get him for a second round, bro, I don't care how much money he want, man. Kid's a monster. Kid would change our whole defense, bro. But I don't see that happening. But that's what we need. We need that kind of player on the edge, man. That really tone, man. We need a guy like Trent Williams just because he's a warrior and he's a monster. And you know what I'm saying? I think what he's trying to do now is just fill every piece up so he doesn't have to go in the draft and have to draft for need instead of drafting for quality players. Even if we didn't need the tackle, I still think he takes the tackle.
Yeah, no. Tyrone, good stuff, man. So the next guy you want signed is who?
This guy I want to hear, man, I want to hear either Poole, Robbie, or Fowler. But, guys, I want to say one more thing, man. Y'all guys be careful out here, man. Be safe. You know what I'm saying? Take care of your families, man. Stay blessed, man. I mean, I don't know what type of world we in right now, but it's not what we used to. So, thank you guys for having the show, man. I appreciate it. I needed it. I needed a little bit of release to relax my mind and free myself from this chaos of living. So y'all stay blessed. We love you guys, and as we always do. Do what we do.
Yes, sir. Be safe, Tyrone. You and your family, man. We want to thank Tyrone for calling in. We apologize for any technical difficulties we're having. I guess it's very trying times for Blog Talk as well. So we're going to do our best. We're going to try to get everybody on as fast as we can. We got a ton of people on hold, so we're going to go to Josh and Brick. Josh, what's up, man? And Josh is gone. I guess he got too excited, Joe. He got all excited to talk to us, and that was into him. So we're going to go to I don't know how to say this name, so I'm just going to try Nasir. Am I close?
Yes, Nasir.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
Let's go right into it. I know I was on Joe about preaching patience with these signings, but I think we did terrible with the offensive line, considering some of the deals that we used top-tier offensive linemen. When I said George Fant was my first signing, I'm saying, yeah, we're not taking this serious. The Bills have gotten better in our division. The Miami Dolphins, last year have gotten better, and we have not done anything. We showed up an offensive line.
You don't like Connor McGovern either?
No, Connor McGovern is a good sign, but see, I don't think Jonathan Harrison is that bad. So while I am happy that we have an upgrade, it's not I feel like we need to attack the other areas of need. We need wide receivers. And why we go through that type of receiver? Vincent Smith. Why are we're not signing receivers? I think we should have went after Amari Cooper. I know he would have cost a lot of money, but I mean, we need to start getting big players if we're going to start taking.
Yeah, but you can't give Amari Cooper got 5 years, $100 million. There's no way the Jets could have given him that. And I think he wanted to stay in Dallas. I mean, there's certain guys. He didn't want to come here. He wanted to stay in Dallas. I don't think he was even an option. So you're okay with going into next season with Robbie Anderson as a top receiver? Well, first of all, you got to re-sign Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I'm saying. We have no weapons around our. It's fine that we get the offensive line. Now who are we going to get the ball to besides Le'Veon?
Exactly.
Yeah, we got to. Joe, we're gonna. His call. He had really bad feedback on his call. It was like a drum or something. Yeah. I don't know what the hell that was, but we'll keep talking about.
First,
I had to let him go, but.
Yeah, understandable. I want to thank him for calling in. I want to thank Nasir for calling in. He was great. But, yeah, I heard what he was saying. Look, he was talking about, hey, there's a lack of weapons. We understand, okay, Amari Cooper, even for me, I wasn't necessarily interested in Amari Cooper. I think he's a great wide receiver, but that type of money, and plus he drops the ball quite a bit here. Okay, let's move on from him. But we have to do something to address the issue of lack of weapons here. And that's, again, goes back to what I was saying earlier, that addressing the offensive line, getting real guys in here that could really step in and make immediate impact there would have relieved us in the draft. It would have. Because we still wouldn't be looking for a tackle, or we wouldn't be talking about all these other positions on the line where we don't think they're necessarily filled. You said, as I said, no. Adoga at right tackle, none of us are stoked about that. I don't think any of us think that he's ready or even better than the options that were out there that you weren't going to have to completely break the bank for. We've made so many mistakes drafting. We've made so many mistakes in free agency. You got to pay for that at some point. But even then, if we were to pay for it in free agency, we wouldn't have got knocked over our head because the guys that signed elsewhere didn't necessarily destroy their cap room at all, signing elsewhere. They signed for less than what we thought they were going to get in other places. So, it's tough, but like I said, we've got to do something to help Sam out. We've got to surround him with something that's capable, or else there's no way you can judge the kid. There's no way you can say whether he's a bust or not. There's no way you can say whether he's good or not if you never give him anything to grow with. All these other young quarterbacks around the league, look at the Cardinals did. The Cardinals said, hey, we're going to make sure that Kyler has something out here. And they wouldn't got the best wide receiver on the planet. I'm sorry. Here's my question, Joe.
But here's my question, and I completely agree with you. But now I'm going to give Joe Douglas plenty of time. A lot changes between now and August. I'm not going to go crazy, but if you're the Jets and you're Joe Douglas, couldn't you offer a 4th-round pick and Le'Veon Bell and see if they bite with that, like, to get Hopkins? Wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Look, and I hear you. I'm right there with you. You could absolutely have done that, and I mean, I would think that you would have been able to get him because, I mean, no disrespect to Johnson, but I mean, you know, he's coming towards the end. Like, there's no way you can tell me you got this guy in Hopkins for David Johnson, a 2nd-round pick, and some change. Like, basically, that trade was so lopsided. Like, to me, in my opinion, it was extremely lopsided. That's one of the worst trades I've ever seen. So I don't understand like how that got.
Like, I like Le'Veon Bell.
That was on his desk.
I like Le'Veon Bell, but I would have offered Bell and our 4th-round pick. Hey, if you want to take that kind of stuff, I'll do.
Yeah.
On a heartbeat, I would do that.
I mean, it ain't like Adam Gase gonna use him. it ain't like Adam Gase is using him. I mean, it's no like I said, there's no disrespect to Le'Veon. We all know he's extremely talented, but I mean, Adam Gase ain't using him. You know what I'm saying? We might as well do something with him, send him somewhere where they're gonna, use his talents. So, I don't get what was going on. I don't get why we weren't in on that, or even if the news was out there that this guy was available. Did we even call them to see what we could offer? I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't get, what was going on. This is free agency. I just felt like after Thuney got tagged, things just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, like I was, like it's hard to know because like McCagnon played the game very well, where he always told everybody what he was doing. So the Jets almost got this, and they almost got that, and they almost got this. And Joe Douglas did a lot of silence, which is completely cool. But the Hopkins thing, the story came out a day before where they're like, you know what? Hopkins is on the trade block. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's interesting. But I'm like, all right, it's going to be some ludicrous package they want in return. You're never going to get them. That's what you think. Like, oh, it's going to be some crazy. And then you see what they got. And I'm like, dude. And I'm a Le'Veon Bell fan. Dude, I would have traded his ass for a 4th-round pick and whatever else you want, gone. Deal. Like, and you wonder if Joe Douglas has gotten involved in that conversation. Like, you just wonder if they even did their due diligence with that. Because there's been so much silence that you really haven't heard who else offered anything. But then like, you go from there. So, Kyler Murray's getting his guy. Then you look at the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. Now, I think they gave up a lot to get Stephon Diggs. I like Diggs, but Diggs dropped a lot of passes. But he's a diva. He makes good money, but they give up a lot to get Diggs. If I'm the Jets, I would not have done that deal. I wouldn't have did that, I don't think.
No, well, and look, and I hear you. They gave up quite a bit. You're right. But guess what? They did that because they're investing in their young franchise quarterback. Whether we think he's better than Sam, I do not think he's better than Sam, but I think his situation makes him better than Sam. He's set up better than Sam.
Yeah, they're further along than we are.
They're so further along, and they were drafted at the same time, but they're so further along. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, they gave up a bit for Diggs, but you know why they gave up that? Because that's the last piece. That's exactly what they needed. They needed a true number one wide receiver to match with Brown and Beasley so they can go out there and just rip people open. That's all that they needed. They got a solid offensive line. That run game was just scorching people last year. Josh Allen's defense, that is just strangles people. So that's what they needed. So they said, we're all in. We're all in because we built to be all in. They have talent at premium positions. They have talent, spread across their team. They can go all in like that. They can trade a first-rounder plus because they're built enough to do that. We can't do that. And that's what's sad, that at this point, we're still struggling. And then, like I said, I don't think we took advantage of the things we should have taken advantage of in free agency this year to push us further along. It's tough.
Yeah, and, it's like the Hopkins thing bothered me. But then I'm like, all right, But then you see we're linked to a Philip Dorsett. And it's like, okay, like a cheaper version of Robbie. I mean, he's done some good things. But I'm like, you kind of like you have these expectations, Joe. Like, you see these other teams and you see the way to build around young quarterbacks, and bargain basement shopping isn't the way. The clearance rack isn't the way. And I'm hoping things change as we go along. Like I said, it's only been a day, and a lot of things can happen. Like there's all these mid-tier guys, but I'm starting to get a little worried that this is, it's interesting, man. It's just, there's a lot of holes here, and there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and, I don't know. I'm just starting to get a little antsy about that kind of stuff. I'm hoping, like, well, I wake up tomorrow, like, Robbie's back.
Yeah.
Or like, all right, cool. Like, we're adding weapons around him.
We said, you look at the situation, and you got a young guy, and you were hoping, like you said, that we would really be able to build around him, especially at this point. And like I said, I'm not bashing Joe Douglas. I'm not calling him a fraud, but it's like you got to start building around this kid. You cannot have the worst offense in the league and then come into free agency and lowball people or, not make sure you get the guys, that are going to come in and be able to make an immediate impact. You can't do that. You can't do that, especially at where we are right now. We're still at a point where, hey, we gotta make sure that we get Sam what he needs because he's still on his rookie year deal. That clock is ticking, man. And when it comes due, when it's time to pay him, dude, it's going to be a whole hell of a lot harder to build this football team what he's going to make.
All right, we're going to go to, let's see, we're going to go to Shaq. Shaq, what's up, man?
Sad. Just sad. I told you.
Why are you sad, man? Why are you sad?
I knew it.
We got Connor McGovern, you got Alex Lewis. It's a work in progress, man. It's not as bad as you think right now.
I like the Connor McGovern move with the Alex Lewis, but the George Fant, no. I've seen offensive line just go, and all of a sudden I get a notification, George Fant. Do you know that Russell Wilson been running his whole entire life because of his O-line? And you think I want to sign somebody from Seattle from the O-line? No, I'm good.
Shaq, you know what's funny? You want to hear something funny? When they first signed him, I didn't know much about him. So I was like, I'm not gonna act like an expert. I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna research. While I was doing some research, I got like 2 text messages from a friend of mine just laughing hysterically. Like he was just like, do you even know what you just signed? And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, gee. And he's like, to say he's inconsistent is being nice. And I'm like, oh, at a left tackle, that's the last thing you friggin' want. And I'm like, oh, not good, man. He
was so bad they put him at receiver and tight end.
Tight end.
Right.
Yeah. That's literally what he was doing now. I mean, everybody's laughing, though, but seriously, he would come in as a 6th offensive lineman often. You do that often. I mean, but I don't know, man.
I'm not paying up $10 million a year just to line up as my 6th lineman. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. But what are your thoughts about his?
Go ahead.
Yeah, first off, I want to thank you for calling in, but I want to get your thoughts, man, on Alex Lewis, man. What are your thoughts about us re-signing him?
No, that's not a bad move. And you know something? I said if out of all the linemen last year, I was like, I would take him back. I wouldn't mind taking him back. I like what he did. He was, I'm not going to say inconsistent, but he was an average lineman, No, he could be a good, like if it was a, starting line, he could be a 4th best guy. There's nothing wrong with that. 5th, but, we got to upgrade. And, when I seen that signing, I'm like, I hope Joe Douglas do not turn into John Nizick. I hope this is not John Nizick. I just hope right now he's just learning. Right now, I hope he's learning. Because a lot of people praising Joe Douglas, but because of what he did and where he came from. But you got to remember,
learning. What the hell is he learning? Learning? What is he learning? How to evaluate an offensive lineman? Either guy's good or he's not. What is he learning, dude? Like,
I don't know.
He had a whole year. You guys keep in mind, he had a whole year. Like they hired him after the draft, so he had a year to sit around and just watch people. That was it.
Yeah,
and
that's my point. And what's crazy, he had a lot of help in Baltimore. He had a lot of help in Philly. So we don't know who picks. You don't know who picks those players were. And this is his first time, being a GM. And so right now, I just hope this is a learning experience because right now he's looking kind of bad right now. I'm not even gonna lie. I just don't want to say that, dude. But he's looking.
I'm not. Hold on. Time out. No. We paid him a good amount of money for 6 years. I'm not giving him a year to learn on the job. He's got to come in and make good decisions and smart decisions. Because if he doesn't, he's gonna get our quarterback killed and set us back 3 more years. So I'm not giving him a pass. I'm not giving a bye with anything. So I like 2 to 3 signings, and now he's got to make other moves. So to me, I'd like to bring back Brian Poole. I'd like to get in Robbie Anderson back in here. If you want to make a run at Dante Fowler, cool, but like he's got to make moves to address holes. And like you have cash space to spend, you got to spend it wisely. But you can't bring in like 25 $1 million guys. You got to get some bang for your buck as well.
Yeah, because right now we lost out on O-lineman. The only hope we have is Trent Williams, and hopefully he go out for Vic Beasley or Dante Fowler or something like that. If he go out for Clowney, that's going to be a big mistake because I'm not giving. I will lose my mind. I will lose my mind if I see Jadeveon Clowney with a $21 million contract. I will lose my mind. I almost
There's no way you can justify that.
I saved myself. I'm proud of myself because I almost cursed. But that's why I said, how can we trust him when honestly we shouldn't trust him? Because I keep going back to, it took him a month to figure out we needed a kicker. That's my baby brother could say, oh, the Jets need a kicker. Oh, my baby brother could figure out we needed a kicker as bad as our kicking was. Like, that right there shows, like, okay, something ain't right. At least Mike McCagnon talked to us during the season. He didn't do that. It took him a whole year to speak to us, a whole season to speak to the crowd and the fans and stuff, and let us know what he's thinking. Like, that's why. Go ahead, Joe.
I don't know if that's a good measure because Mike McCagnon, that guy was horrific. He's literally the reason why we're in the situation we're in. But my thing is that, and I hear what you're talking about the kicker, but if we were going to question Joe Douglas and his picking of players, to me it would be, you looked at Khalil, that signing, that was horrific. That dude was terrible. Yeah. He was clearly the worst offensive lineman, on the team. I mean, he was just a gaping hole there, and Joe Douglas brought him in. So
you know what, Joe?
There's questions there and there. Go ahead, Shaq.
You know what? I don't knock him for that one. The Khalil signing, I don't knock him because I thought it was a good idea. At least 90% of the Jets fans thought that was a good idea. I thought, at least I was one of them. I thought that was a good idea. We didn't know that he was going to be this terrible and the worst lineman on our team. I didn't know that. Nobody did. That's why I don't knock him.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, but Douglas should have had to know that. I mean, you got to look at the guy. You got to make sure that he's good to go. But even moving on from that, because we're looking at free agency, and there was a lot of people, especially a lot of fans, saying, maybe it's not just Joe Douglas. Maybe he's making his offers, but how much of a factor do you think that Adam Gase is? Do you think that some players look at this place as a place that isn't a destination you want to come to because of Gase?
I think Gase has like 40% to do with it. I think so. I think he does. Maybe half. And I'm sure the injury, the injury issues that we had with Quincy and Osimile and, another guy, I think Luke Falk had a problem or something like that. Like, I'm sure that was part of it as well. So, I just know when I saw these O-linemen going, I'm hoping and praying that I was seeing the Jets name next to him, and I'm getting upset, and I'm like, oh my God, now we can't get offensive weapons, offensive outside weapons like receivers and stuff like that until the later rounds because we still have to worry about our line.
Yeah, but Shaq, there's still, this is only day 2 of free agency, man. It actually starts tomorrow, but there's still. There's a guy from the Cowboys that they may not be able to bring back. There's a lot of guys that are becoming available, so I'm not going to go crazy until like August. So I'm going to give him plenty of time to do that. But before we let you go, man, who's the next guy you want signed?
Brian Poole.
I agree, man.
I agree. We need the slot corners. We need some type of corners out there because it's a passing league. You need the corners. I was gonna say Jordan, but I feel like we need to get a little bit faster. And I kind of figured he wasn't going to stay with us anyway. And And second is Robbie. We got to get Robbie because we can't rely on the draft to get everything. This is going to take another year. So right now, all we could do is just hope and pray, and just watch football and keep crying after 60 years.
Shaq, Shaq, you're giving. See, what happens is we announced our show. Everybody's like, "Oh, you guys are gonna be negative all night." I'm like, "No, we're not negative. We're gonna give our analysis, but we're gonna remain hopeful because it's only day 2 of free agency. So stay positive, man. We're gonna stay positive for a little bit longer."
I'm just gonna cry. I'm crying somewhere. So, you know.
Have a good night, man.
All right, fellas.
All right, we're having some technical difficulties on and off. I have no idea. I assure you, our show usually sounds pretty good, but this could be a Blog Talk issue, or who the hell knows what it is. So we're doing the best we can, and I'll try to edit it afterwards. We're going to go to Ronaldo in New York. Ronaldo, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, man?
I've been doing pretty well. Today was a better day than yesterday, so that's good.
I'm glad to hear, man. Now that we got your life update, what are your thoughts on the Jets?
No, I meant by Jets. I meant the Jets, like, doing something today.
No, so did you like the Alex Lewis re-signing? You like McGovern?
I'm sure of the offensive line. We're kind of doing what the Bills did last year, if you guys can remember. They just got, like, middle-tier guys, and they just really solidified that offensive line. I think Joe Douglas is following that path. But damn, Mike McCagnon really screwed us. We're not close. Like, the Dolphins might have a better roster when it's all said and done, week 1.
They might. They will. Do you see how many top draft picks they have? They have like 8 or 9 picks. They're signing every other player, and they have a ton of draft picks in the first 3 rounds. It's ridiculous.
No, I just don't have McCagnon in real life. I would have to fight him. I would have to. Because what he did to our team in this organization, it's worth going to jail for. I'm telling you that right now.
Whoa. First off, I want to thank you for calling in, man. You know, don't do that, man. Don't do that. You ever see him, just, keep it moving. Keep your head down and keep it moving, man. So don't get yourself put in any cuffs, all right? Just keep it cool. But I know you talked about McGovern and Alex Lewis. What are your thoughts about us bringing in George Fant?
I really didn't know the guy, but I've seen some tape a little bit, and he was throwing around Nick Bosa at one play. So, hey, that's good enough for me. As long as we can scout these defensive ends from Buffalo, and from the Patriots, and Miami, I'll be solid. I'll be happy with
that. So, I'm trying to get your pulse, man. Are you looking forward to the rest of free agency? Like, who are you looking to sign here?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely looking for. I think we're definitely going to get maybe Dante Fowler or, like, Njoku. I don't know, one of those guys. We need a pass rusher. If you guys watch the tape, like, we have no edge presence, like, at all. Good defensive linemen can't even do anything because they're just pushing the pocket a little bit back. You need an edge guy to push the quarterback into the defensive line, not just farther away, give him more space. So, yeah.
Cool, Ronaldo. Thanks for calling, man. We appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
It's interesting, Joe. Now everybody's kind of going back to the whole pass rusher thing, where it's like I understand the Dante Fowler thing. It seems like we've talked about him every year for the last 3 years about getting him, not getting him. And you look at the money that's been given out in free agency so far. It's like the Robert Quinn, who I wanted us to get last year. But you look at that kind of money. Are you willing to give that kind of money to Fowler?
First off, I want to thank Ronaldo for calling in. Be safe out there, man. Don't do nothing too crazy. But, I mean, at this point, I would think about it. I would say, yeah, because we really don't have a pass rusher. I know he's only had one decent year, and he was surrounded by quite a bit of talent out there. But when you don't have any presence at all out there at edge, at all, and you're going into a draft, where there's so many other holes to fill, I would think about doing it.
Yeah, that's I was thinking the same thing. It's like, all right, we've just talked about how if you don't bring back Robbie, you're almost saying, like, we want to go offensive line round 1. You could almost go receiver round 2. Until we go offensive line again round 3 or whatever it is, that pass rusher is not going to be there. You could almost make a case, especially if our corners aren't going to be that good, that the investment in Dante. But that's the investment in Dante Fowler almost makes more sense. Where it's like, but I'm just saying, it's like, all right, if we can't, we most likely can't draft a pass rusher because we have so many other needs. By the time we want one of them, it's going to be too late. So you may have to spend now because you can get one. You know what I mean? It's like you can almost make a case to spend the money on them now.
Exactly, and this is stuff that I talked about going into free agency. We talked about this. We've talked about this all year since we knew our season was over. Looking at the positions of need on this football team and saying, we need to adequately address this way. We need to adequately address this that way. We don't have enough capital to draft all of the positions that we need. We don't. Nope. And not just that, but you also, with him, it's so far. We're just talking about right now because, the trade that I'd like to see is Trent Williams. I've been very clear about that. I still think we need to look into that and make it happen. But maybe he makes some miracle trade and we get 4 guys. So we're just talking about just right now when you're looking at what he's done in free agency. If he continues forward like this, he's putting so much of an emphasis on his upcoming draft. He'd have to hit on multiple guys to make this team somewhat competitive next year. We have holes. You just talked about bringing back Brian Poole. I would love to see that as well. But we don't have a number 1 or 2 corner whatsoever. We don't have that at all. We're talking about edge right now. We just lost Jordan Jenkins. We need an outside linebacker, let alone getting some edge pressure as well. This is just, and if you're not willing to make trades, and I've thrown trades out there as well, if you're not willing to move guys that are on this team to gain some type of capital, then what else can you do except sit here for the next 2 years and try to draft everything while wasting, years off of Sam's clock? What can you do?
Yeah, I just think
crazy.
I think it's like, like you said, I think Jordan Jenkins is gone. Jordan Jenkins is going to be gone. Looks like he may be going to the Giants, but look, he's wanting that like $12 or $13 million a year, so that's not going to happen. And all right, listen, if you got to spend on that pass rusher to offset what you don't have at corner, hey, go for it. It's just like like I said, we're in a pickle with certain things now, and it's like, it's just crazy, man. It's just the expectations going in and how you watch it play out isn't kind of what I was expecting. And now it's like, all right, like obviously every year guys fall to you. Like you're going to have your June 1st cuts. You're going to have some surprise cuts where you can get some players, but it's going to be interesting. So we're going to go to Angelo in Arizona. Angelo, what's up, man?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call today.
Hey, no problem, man. How do you like the first couple of days of free agency?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I called in. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the moves the front office made. And I guess I have more questions than I have answers. And what I mean by that is, and I'll just go down the list real quick. So George Fant, I'm not sure based on his $10 million a year contract, or $9 million plus, is he a left tackle? Is he going to be the insurance policy backup left tackle for the left tackle that we draft this year? Or is he going to be someone on the right side that's going to compete with Ndoga? Then going to Alex Lewis. I like the signing. I think he's a very capable guard. But at $6 million, is he a backup or is he going to be a starting guard? And then finally, with McGovern, I think that's a smart move. Experience at center, guard. I think you got him at a good price. Still young. All three of these are kind of prudent deals, if you will. And I'm just wondering, how is it going to play out? Are they more backup? Or are they more of a starting caliber, OT or O-guard positions?
Yeah, see, I think McGovern and Alex Lewis are both starters, and then I'll hand it to Joe. I think McGovern and Lewis are starters. Fant, I'm not really sure, man. Like, if they draft a guy at 11 or they bring other guys in, maybe he's a depth guy. Maybe, if you want to, I'd much have him on the right than the left, because I don't want him protecting Sam's blind side. I'll tell you that much. But I think the one thing you see out of you see out of all these guys is their versatility. And I think Joe Douglas, if anything, is showing that where all the guys he's signing can play two positions. You can move them around. But I'd say McGovern and Lewis are starters. I really don't know. Maybe he's the jumbo tight end. I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, look, first off, I want to thank the caller for calling in. I look at McGovern and Alex Lewis. I think, like I said, I think Alex Lewis is a solid re-signing, but there were guys out there that I thought, that we could have still gotten that would be an upgrade. But, he's a decent re-signing, so I'm not banging on Joe Douglas for that. I thought McGovern was a solid signing. He really fit in here. Like you said, as well experienced, a guy that's got out there and really done well. But Fant, I don't know exactly what he is. To me, he's getting paid like he's going to be a starting right tackle. That's what it looks like.
Agree. So at $10 million.
You look at the money that he's making. Yeah, you look at the money he's making. To me, he looks like he's going to be a starting right tackle. So then, if he's going to be our starting right tackle, being hole at left tackle. And for me, I start to wonder, and I start to say, okay, well, if you're leaving that hole, how are you feeling that? Because, again, and I talked about it early in the show, there's a chance that those top four left tackles that we're talking about in these drafts that we've been talking about since the season has ended, there's a chance that all of those guys could be gone. So then if you don't get that guy, if you don't get either one of those guys in the draft, what do you do then? Don't you kind of paint yourself into a corner because there's no way that you could justify drafting anything before you were to take a left tackle?
So if you
force you to take Trent Williams, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, so, the Trent Williams thing, I think we spoke a little bit about that last week. I was kind of against that. But taking one step back with Fant, I think they brought Fant in to kind of push Adoga on the right side. You have somebody with experience compared to Adoga, which doesn't have much experience at all. And you can also use Fant as a backup to your rookie left tackle. And by the way, I still think Jets are in play, and my money's somewhere near Andrew Thomas. I think he might be available with the 11th pick this year, give and take. But my point is that Fant has to be a backup to a left tackle where he's going to be a starter for the right tackle position. At least that's where I see it.
Yeah. And I hear you there, but even starter, do you even trust George Fant as a starter? To you, is George Fant much of an upgrade compared to all the guys that were out there that we could have gotten?
So I don't know too much about the player other than just doing my research, and it sounds like he's athletic. He's got some size to him, 6'5", 322. He's got experience playing the tackle position. So the front office must have seen something to give him that type of money or that type of contract. And by the way, it's only a 1-year contract. It's really, if you really dig into it, he's getting $9+ million for 1 year. It's a prove-it deal, really, or he's just an insurance policy for the right tackle position. Other than that, they need to focus on the draft, and we spoke about this last week. I think that's where they need to be.
Yeah, well, look, and I hear you. I mean, I don't necessarily like Fant. I don't think he's very good. But I looked at the situation. I was like, well, we're going into free agency. We need to find guys that are going to be here, building blocks. These Band-Aid guys, this 1-year deal, and then you're bringing in Fant when there was a better talent out there. I just think that was the wrong way to go. But for you, as of now, outside of left tackle, what do you think is the biggest hole or the biggest team need at the Jets right now?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joe. So I'm going to push back a little bit from last year, and I'm going to get pushback for saying this. But last year, Green Bay made a really, what I think was a smart move. They both Smiths last year for that pass rushers position. Preston Smith from Washington, the other Smith from Baltimore. That seemed to be a home run in terms of getting two guys that put a lot of pressure on the quarterback or opposing quarterback, and then it took pressure off the CBs of the team. I'm wondering if the Jets may consider going that route this year. And again, I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this, but yeah, but can Fowler and Clowney be an option? That's one.
No.
Two,
no. The answer is absolutely no. You had me at Fowler.
So I know that's Clowney. A lot of money out there.
Nothing to do with Clowney. Dude, Clowney, no. I just want nothing to do with Clowney. Clowney is not a game-breaking player at $20 million a year. He will not make no, absolutely not. I'll take Fowler.
So
I don't want Clowney. Joe, I just don't.
So would you take someone like
Clowney.
Would you take someone like a Fowler and then someone in the third round,
sure,
or someone like that to kind of couple with him, because we're going to lose Jordan Jenkins right now, so we need to kind of fill both outside linebacker positions this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm all for it. Like, listen, it is what it is. Like, the secondary is going to have some holes. If we need three corners, and right now we don't have any, if you bring in Fowler and you listen, they had guys like Luvu last year and Brandon Copeland, all guys getting sacks. So you can find sacks with lesser guys if you have that one dominant guy. Then you also got to keep in mind, if you have it Fowler on the outside, maybe the defensive line, a player like Henry Anderson or maybe even Quentin Williams can get sacks up the middle. So it could create a lot of things for you. But you may have to invest in a guy like this based on how the Jets are. And we haven't had a pass rusher since God knows when, 2006 or whatever it is. So no Clowney, man. Please,
yeah, I mean, the last legitimate pass rusher we really had. Listen, I agree with you. All I'm just saying is that, there's a reason why both of them are out there right now. I don't think there's any team that really wants to pay for their services. And just like Robbie Anderson, if we can take one step back, with Robbie Anderson, I bet you a bagel to a donut that the Jets probably told Anderson, hey, go out there, look what the market's going to give you, come back to us, and we'll talk. We'll see if we can match that for you. And now going on day 3, Anderson hasn't come back or gotten anything, at least what we're hearing. Well, and it tells you that maybe his market isn't really there.
Well, there's a couple things with that. They're waiting to see what happened with Amari Cooper, though. So Amari Cooper got his $20 million per year. Then Randall Cobb got signed. A.J. Green got his franchise tag. They wanted to kind of see how the market played out with him too. Like, what I mean? He's smart to let it all play out. So, okay, listen, all these guys are gone, and there's two interesting teams with Robbie. The Redskins actually beat the Cowboys offer for Amari Cooper. So the Redskins are obviously in the market, and then the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule likes Robbie Anderson. So there's some other teams out there that will be interested. So I don't think it's a slam dunk he comes back, but maybe maybe you can get him at that. The Raiders too. So I don't think this bargain price for Robbie, Joe, I'm still not buying it right now. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm higher on him than people are. But I think there's teams out there that are going to want him that will pay him.
Yeah,
so would you guys
I agree. There's teams that's going to be out there that want his services for what he does. I'm hoping that we don't overpay for him, because we all know, like I said, what Robbie kind of is.
So would you guys be comfortable maybe the Jets getting a Mims or a Nook or a Rieger or someone like that in the draft this year to kind of take Robbie's spot if we lose him?
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on Philip Dorsett?
You made a great point earlier, Tyson, saying that he's a poor man's Robbie Anderson. He's still fairly young. He's got experience playing on the east side there, playing for the New England Patriots for a while. I think he would be fine. I think he's somebody that can come in and help. I just don't think this front office is willing to anyone, and I mean anyone. So that's one thing that I think Joe Douglas has already established. He's not going to overpay for these overhyped players, if you will, or even these mid or average players. I mean, if you're worth the money, he'll give it to you. If you're not, he's going to give you fair market value, and he's already done that with the offensive line so far.
Angela, great call, man. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too. And, Joe, we'll go back to the call. So we got a zillion people on hold, but that is one thing that Joe Douglas seems like he was known for this. What they said in Baltimore, too, is where Baltimore, they give you a value of what they think you're worth, and that's what they're giving you. Like, they set their standards, and this is it. They're not going to overpay. They're not going to chase, and they're going to kind of stick to their value board. And so far, it seems like Joe Douglas has done that. But it remains to be seen because it's still early. Yeah. Like he could start chasing people like whoever it is, but early on, and the only problem with that is when you don't have a good draft history because our last few years have been a waste. You're kind of relying on free agency to help. You're relying on free agency to kind of pick up the slack for your poor drafting, which was not his fault. And, you know, penny pinching here could hurt us a little bit maybe this year or next year by doing that.
Yeah, and first I want to thank Angelo for calling in. It was a great call. But, you know, I understand the philosophy in Baltimore, and I get that. But they're in a completely different situation than we are. Like you just said, you look at the situation of where we're at right now as a football team. This team is horrific. It's built horrifically. The whiffs in the draft, the horrid mid-round picks, guys that we drafted we got no production from, all those things. So we have these big holes in this draft, and you have to look at situational awareness. I understand you don't want to overpay for players, but you can't completely miss out and, dumpster dive and get into the bargain, basement bin for, guys that aren't going to come in and really give you the same kind of production that a lot of those top guys would have given you, especially when you're at where you're at with our young quarterback. You don't have 3 to 4 years, to continue to try to build this roster. You don't have that. And God forbid, you're putting so much emphasis on your draft. That's the thing I want to talk about as well. When you pass up a lot of these guys, you're putting so much emphasis on the draft to save this team. You're going to have to draft starters, at least 5 or 6, just to be competitive next year. You're going to have to hit every single time in every round damn near to have a solidly competitive team, or you're going to get crushed. Especially, like we said, we've been talking about the offensive line all night. So I get it. You don't want to overpay for guys, especially guys, are at non-premium positions, guys that aren't going to come to people. When you see what was happening to your franchise quarterback last year, I just don't see how you don't spend on the offensive line. I don't see it. Hell, not just with the quarterback, but your offense as a whole. How do you expect to be competing or to even be a functional offense? There is no team in the league that is competing or making the playoffs every year without a functional offense. Can't do it. Not in today's league. I don't understand that.
Yeah, so they have plenty of moves yet to be made. Wide receiver, even running back. You still need 2 backup running backs. You need a lot of players. So we're gonna go to Mr. NYSF Magazine. Jay, what's up, man?
On Twitter, but there's a reason for it, and I need to explain. I'm happy that we have the show, man. I've been looking forward to this all day because there's not enough characters on Twitter to kind of describe. Now, I've been saying for weeks on the show that this is exactly how things were going to go, and everybody was pining for Thuney, and everybody thought we're going to get Thuney and Conklin, and these ridiculous scenarios where they were going to get Thuney, Conklin, Robbie Anderson, Poole. People aren't looking at the gravity of the situation, and Joe has been so on point for weeks too, and I've been so on the same page as him. It's like, you look at we had 21 undrafted free agents, right? And you had about $60 million. And now I'm not looking at the exact number, so I may be a couple $1 million off when I break this down, but it'll illustrate my point regardless. We have $60 million and 21 guys that need to be replaced, right? And you just signed Alex Lewis, and you got McGovern, and you got Fant, and the combined cap hit this year on those 3 guys alone is almost $25 million, right? So basically what you have left is about $35 million to fill 18 holes. And so people are going to have to understand we're in a situation here where you're not going to – we were saying all along, you guys have been on it the whole time. There's a Jets tax. You're going to have to overpay to get guys, and we are not in a position to overpay for anybody, not Jordan Jenkins, not Poole, not Robbie Anderson, nobody. So these are the types of guys that we're going to get, and even those types of guys are even – giving Fant $9 million, I don't get it. I just don't. That's a lot of money to give a guy. Wouldn't you rather have used that money on – I know we need an offensive line, but what problem does Fant solve? I like the McGovern signing, and I'm fine with bringing back Alex Lewis, but, $9 million for Fant at this point, to me, was a major misstep. And, you could have given that money to Poole. And I know that offensive line is number one priority, and I agree that it's number one priority, but I think we overpaid for Fant big time. I know that they only got him on a 1-year deal, I guess, I saw Manish's article, and he explained it, but 18 holes left to fill on this team. 18. And we have 8 draft picks. So if you figure that we have $30 million and 10 guys, that's an average of about $3 million per player that we can dole out on average, and then we have to hit 100% in the draft. You want to say that we're going to draft 8 guys that are going to make the roster, and a bunch of those guys are going to be starters and contributing? There are so many damn holes in this team that it's going to be practice squad level players on 10 guys. That's 20% of your roster. This team is screwed. This is such a multiple year rebuild and we have to draft perfect in order to dig ourselves out of this hole. And then God forbid we have more injuries, because if injuries start piling up, then you're going to see more of what you saw this year. Guys, we got worse from last year, and you can't. If we lose Poole, Jordan Jenkins, Robbie Anderson, and I think it's likely we lose all 3 at this point, this team is going to be worse with a harder schedule and still have Adam Gase. And that's why I've been so pessimistic. That's just how I feel. I can't see any way through it. $15 million of the $30 million we have left to one player, then you got to replace. It's crazy. You got to replace 9 more guys with $15 million. How are you going to do that? I don't see it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Let's see him pull a rabbit out of a hat, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, and Jay, first off, I want to thank you for calling in. You're spot on, dude. And that's why, and I've been talking about this for so long. You know, we've got to do something. We've got to find some way to gain capital. We've got to find some way to do something, because we have so many holes on this roster. And again, the biggest point, and for me as well, I want to get your thoughts on this, is understanding the gravity of the situation. Is not just because the roster, we have issues, defense and just hold the roster, but also where we are at with Sam. Because when you're watching the Bills build the way that they're building to support their franchise quarterback, and we look at what we're doing here, bringing in George Fant, I mean, does that concern you as well? Like, because we're just, the clock just keeps ticking on that rookie year deal, doesn't it?
Yeah, you guys, I mean, this is going to sound doom and gloom big time, but, I mean, it's just going to be honest with my feelings on it, is I've almost gotten myself to the point where I'm kind of like looking at Sam Darnold as like we pretty much wasted his entire rookie contract, because by the time that he is on a team that's able to compete, contract's over. I mean, we have to. I think that one of the biggest paths to trying to fix this, I mean, multiple trade downs in the draft, acquiring, going from 8 picks to like 12, giving yourself a better shot, adding more players that way, because the reason why we have to, why we only have like $35 million left to fill that many holes is because we don't have anybody besides this last draft class. We don't have anybody on our roster on a rookie deal that's contributing. So, for the most part, I mean, there's a couple guys spread throughout the roster, but not like a team like the Bills and teams that are competing, and that's how you win in the NFL. You got to draft. So for this team to be competitive, Joe Douglas is going to have to earn his keep in the draft, not in free agency. So I don't know what Jet fans were expecting. I mean,
I disagree. I completely disagree. He's got to do well in free agency, man, because he only has a certain amount of draft picks. So he's got to, all these mid-tier, all these bargain guys he's trying to sign, he's got to hit with them too. Like, he's got to hit everywhere.
I'm with you on that.
He's got no wiggle room, dude. Like, every dollar spent is valuable. Like, I'm not giving him
right. So
you want to give Philip Dorsett $5 million? It better be worth the $5 million. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm not giving Philip Dorsett $5 million as much as I wouldn't have ever touched dollars. I think that was crazy.
There's also, but the other thing too is there's a lot of ways you can work the cap space too, with signing bonuses, and you could defer money. There's ways around getting all these guys signed and stuff. But right, he's got no wiggle room, dude. He's got no wiggle room with money.
Deferring money that hurts you. That hurts you in the future. But
the salary cap is going up. The salary cap is skyrocketing. The new TV, the next 2 years, the salary cap is going to just completely skyrocket. It's not even going to be a problem.
And so will salary.
They get that new TV
money.
Will salary. Yeah, but they'll be okay with that. But I think, this year, I think the premium on the draft, which is supposed to be his base, his backbone. He's got to really impress us, man. And Joe's been saying it, I've been saying it, you've been saying it. Like, This is our draft guy. If he can't draft well or he makes mistakes, Jesus Christ, we're in trouble.
Guys, if he bombs this draft on a Mike McCagnon and John Idzik level draft bomb, we're looking at legitimately, like, no joke, like Sam Darnold will surely be ruined, and we will be a bottom-of-the-barrel team for the next 6 years. It's that great. Like,
you have anything positive to say now? Give Joe some positivity before all our callers hang up.
I like the McGovern signing. There we go. There's something positive, man. We got ourselves a center. We needed a center. We got a center. We don't have any guy. I'm sure McGovern can snap the ball to Darnold safely without getting him killed. He's not going to be Khalil. We have a center now, so I'm excited about that. But there really isn't all that much. To be excited about until. I'd like to see him make multiple trade downs in the draft. I don't even want to see it. I know everybody wants to go offensive line at number 11 and continue to steal that, but the one move that I think and again I'm with Joe on this. Joe and I have been on the same page a lot. The one move that I wouldn't hate would be an ultimate swinging for the fences move. If you got to spend money, if you got to drop that a ton of money, just do it for Trent Williams. Simple first round picks or a first, and a couple seconds or something like that, and you address your offensive line. Then when you got Trent, you got McGovern, you got Alex, Lewis, and then play around with that first round pick and use that, spread across on multiple picks. That I'd be fine with because then you can take that, like I said, that $17 million or whatever you got to pay, Trent. At least then that turns that first draft pick into, as far as I'm concerned, that would be a for sure trade down at that point. And, then you could get 3 players that would be cheap, and, that would be the way you could afford Trent Williams. And so that's one move that I'd be happy with. Other than that, man, I'm not breaking the bank for Robbie. I love Robbie, not doing it. Poole, I want Poole back in the worst way, but if he's going to make, what's he going to make? People are talking about, he might make upwards of, $12 million a year. You can't afford him. You can't do it. And then what? You have no corners.
Gee, we can afford players, man. We still have cap space. Listen, we're gonna let you go.
We don't have a roster.
You're getting blasted. You're getting blasted on the roster.
We don't have a roster.
It's not as doom and gloom as you make it out to be, Jay. There is some flexibility where you can get Brian Poole signed, you can get other guys signed, but when you if you want to go down that, dude, it's creative accounting. Dude, the Buffalo Bills always got their signing endless players. The Jets have done it in years past where they sign endless players.
Hi, they have a roster. We have no. They have professionals.
But dude, even when we did have a roster, you can mess around with signing bonuses and defer money. You can do all kinds of get the guys signed. It's a matter of signing the right guys. The problem is when you defer the money and the guys don't pan out, that's the problem. Like Tremaine Johnson, then you get stuck. You just spend money on the right guys.
If you sign Poole and tomorrow at let's say $12 million apiece, which Jet fans would love, and that'd be $24 million of the $35 left. You got $11 million left to fill it. What I think is a minimum of 9 holes. How are you going to do that? Even if you do creative accounting,
to defer the money.
$12 million.
Then you start cutting players if you have to.
That's where
Brian Winters is up. There goes Brian Winters.
And there goes Jamal Adams.
There's ways around all of this. It's not like you can't just say, okay, they signed 5 guys, $50 million. Now they have $10 million of cap space left. There's a lot more to it than that. They have plenty of ways to do it. But we got to let you go, dude. We have 1 million people on hold, though. So NYSFmag.com. Joe, the one thing is there's plenty of cap space to make moves if you want to make them. You can go after your Fowlers or Poole, all this. The thing is you just can't make mistakes. Like the wiggle room is gone when we have so many holes and so little resources. So say you give Dante Fowler 5 years, whatever, $70 million, whatever it is, and he doesn't pan out, then we have the problems. That's the kind of what we're facing now. When you have dead cap with Tremaine Johnson, you have dead cap with guys who are cutting Nintendo value. But that's when it starts biting you in the ass more.
Well, first off, I want to thank Jay for calling in. He comes in and he spits his take, man, and I agree with him quite a bit. There's cap space available, but again, you can't just go around signing every guy. It would really depend on the guaranteed money as well, because like you said, the 5 years, how much of that will be guaranteed. But then again, you start cutting guys, you got to fill those holes with somebody. You do. And like Jay said, we only got 8 draft picks. That's it. So if you're talking about, okay, we'll sign this guy and then we'll trade down and try to gain capital, well then if you trade down from 11, you're for sure going to miss out on a left tackle. Like you're for sure going to miss out on some of these other, positions as well. The hell with the left tackle. Some people are screaming about Jerry Jeudy. I was, especially if we made certain trades that would open that up. You're going to miss out on some of these other, positions of need as well, because we're just talking about pass rusher. We're void of weapons. We don't have wide receivers here. We're still looking for them. So when you're talking about trading down, you're talking about missing out on those top guys. So yeah, I hear what Jay is saying, man. I hear what he's saying, but like I'm kind of with you, where it's like if I'm at 11, like I'm getting it. Like I understand the whole trade down and get more picks, but like I want talent, dude. Like we like you know what I mean? Like we'll get to the draft. But it's like, dude, we need playmakers, man. We can't keep settling and Band-Aids and settling for less. At some point, we just got to we need building blocks and studs and realizing, listen, we're not a win-now team this year. We have a ton of holes. This is going to be a legitimate process. Hopefully this guy is a good personnel guy where we can actually say, okay, listen, this makes some damn sense. Like, we can all buy into this blueprint. That's what I'm hoping for. Like, we can walk away, like, we go into, like, August or September. It's like, listen, we know what we have, and we can see the direction we're going. With McCagnon, we never really knew that because it was always like a mismatch of, overpaying for this guy, didn't get this guy, and draft was terrible. So we're going to go to Billy in the Bronx. Billy, what's up, man?
Let me find out I finally get on this show. Let me find out. Okay, what's up, brother? What's really good?
How you doing, man?
I'm going to sit up on this one now. My man, Joe Dougie. Joe Dougie is he's suspect right now. And I'm going to mark him incomplete on everything he's done. I can't really be that mad at him above and beyond this that Fant guy. That was incredible. That was unacceptable. But regardless of that, man, like y'all said, he piled it onto the draft. But I don't think he has the same sense of urgency like your partner there, Joe. Because Joe had me sold last time I listened to the show. I was really adamant about keeping what's that guy's name? Jamal Adams. I was adamant about it. We gotta sign him. We gotta keep that guy. I want that guy. And he went on a wicked spiel telling me about how we could do this and get rid of him. And you know what? I said right in. I said, you know what? He might be right. Get him out of here. Why not? More draft capital. Let's power up. And that's the problem. See, that crystal ball of yours. It needs some Windex because this is the Jets we're talking about, and I'm a Knicks fan, so I know.
Me too.
Okay, so I know losing. Joe. And Joe, you're gonna stop with this selling me. I was ready, but then when the first day passed, I said, you know what? We're going on a different kind of journey, Gilligan. This is it. This is it. This is 3 or 4 years coming along here. This is 3 or 4 years. And we know it, but Joe,
we had a Gilligan reference.
Don't do that. And the last caller, I like the last caller because some guys say that Tyson is negative. I think he's objective, to be honest. But this guy made you seem like cheesecake, and I love cheesecake.
Billy, the funny thing is though, it's like we get the funniest thing is. Going into this off season, Joe and I both said, listen, the Bills have a ton of cap space and really good resources to get players. The Dolphins have a ton of cap space, a ton of ability to get resources. Oh, you guys are negative. You guys are idiots. The last 2 days, both the Bills and Dolphins have stocked up on all kinds of players. Were Joe and I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Like, we're just honest, man. We just try to keep it real.
No, you're honest. No, Joe, don't try to get on that bench. You're honest. Joe is the one talking about that. Judy, we're going to get all these picks. We're going to load up. It's going to be a high-powered offense. You know what I'm saying? Like he got mad in 2022 before it's released or something. Like, that's not what happened. We're the Knicks. We always got a bankroll and nobody tells us that we overpay for people that's hurt. It's over.
Listen,
so
Billy, first off, I want to thank you for calling me. It's good to hear from you, and I want to thank you again for listening on a weekly basis. Look, I look at the situation like this. Like Jay just said when he called in, I understand the gravity of the situation. Okay, and I've been talking about Sam Darnold and this rookie deal coming to a close soon within these next couple of years. And I understand that, look, we need to start competing now. Okay, and I know a lot of people didn't like, don't talk about trading Jamal Adams. Look, drastic times call for drastic measures. Look at all the holes on this football team. Look at how our offense is not built to do a damn thing. Nothing. We have no wide receivers. We've avoided talent in multiple positions. You have to find some way to make up for the 3 years that you've been farting around with Mike McCagnon. This team is horribly built, horrifically built. And we're trying to answer all these questions with 8 picks. We don't have enough. We've got to do more. And so that's why I was talking about those things in trading. Now, I have some Joe Douglas, Billy. I know it's rough. I have faith in him. But the way he started out free agency, I will admit as well, did disappoint me. Because those deals that those other guys got, we could have met or beat those deals. We could have. We really could have.
You're talking in terms.
And I just don't understand why he didn't do those things.
We would have never got those deals because we're the Jets. Understand that. You know we have to pay the Jets tax, so don't use those examples. Please don't. We always have
to. We have to.
That's just how it goes.
Hold on. You're right. We do have to pay the Jets tax, right? You're right. But we can pay that. We could have paid that for a couple guys. You're right. We do have to pay the Jets tax. There's no doubt about it. I'm not. We came up with that on the show. I know people are taking that and going elsewhere with it. Respect to you for listening and putting Jets tax. We came up with that. Okay? Me and John. So, yes, I understand we have to pay the Jets tax, but we can do that. We could have done that and really jumped ahead. We could be talking about if you get, a left tackle and or right tackle, or left tackle, and a guard, we could have been skipping ahead. We could have got other guys. We could have got a Glasgow. We could have got, Jack Conklin. Look at the deals they signed for. It wasn't like something outrageous. We talked about Jack Conklin getting $18 million per. He's not getting that. He's not getting $18 million per. We talked about Glasgow. Right time, we was talking about him getting $10 million a year. He's not getting that. He's not getting that.
Yep.
So I'm with you. Yeah. So if these guys are not getting that, how come we couldn't meet or beat that? Especially when you're hearing the reports from credible sources that Joe Douglas was kind of lowballing guys, and that he wasn't really interested in paying. You got to though, and I understand that he doesn't want to do. You have to. You have to understand the gravity of the situation. That's the problem.
How long you been a Jets fan? You've been a Jets fan for quite some time, right?
Yeah, my whole life. Yes, pretty much.
So guess what? He just got here, man. He just got here.
So what does that mean?
That means he doesn't have the sense of urgency that you and I have. You know, there's a saying in the street, and listen to this saying. They say you're a genius when you're broke. You see, when he signed that 6-year long-term big money contract, he said, I'm going to do it my way, slowly. He didn't look at everybody else. He didn't feel the pain that we felt for the last 2-3 years. He didn't see all that. He wasn't here for all those things. So now he's like, I'm going to build it from the ground up my way. It doesn't matter what happens with Gase. I have my philosophy I'm going to live by. And Gase is another guy who's probably an impediment to us getting anybody. But that's a whole different page. We're not going to go there.
But Billy, there's a variety of things. But the most important thing is winning. The Jets haven't been in the playoffs since 2009 or whatever. It's been forever, dude. It's like winning. People like if you offer money, after you offer money, you have to offer winning. Are we offering winning right now?
Absolutely.
That's part of the equation. Like that's. So it's like, listen, I can be really negative about this team. Like I can go off the rails with being negative, but Joe Douglas has his hands full with a litany of things, with so many holes, so little resources, not a winning franchise, and a coach some players may not like. So he could be aggressive. He could be the first guy calling everybody, and they could say, you know what, we're going to call you back. And that's the problem. He may give his best offer, and it may not be good enough, and that's just the way it is.
He's going to have to be the ultimate savant come draft time, because thus far in this free agency,
he sure is.
It's been MEH, Met. That's how I felt so far.
And I know
McGovern's a good player, man.
McGovern's a good player. Look, I know we're talking about different things with the team right now. We talked about left tackle, but outside of left tackle, in your mind, what is the biggest hole on this football team?
I'm a big mock draft guy. I'm always in the mock draft doing it up, and I would say wide receiver. When I'm doing my mock drafts, I'm doing like 3 OLs, 3 wide receivers, a kicker, and maybe a running back. I'm all offense, man. Let Greg Williams cook up his stew somehow, but the offense, everything needs to be towards Sam and the offense as far as I'm concerned. So I would say wide receiver.
Cool. I agree. Now, what do you think about Philip Dorsett?
I don't like those nondescript. I don't. Nondescript. That was like Gant. You know what I'm saying? Nondescript. No. He's like paprika. You know, it looks good, but really no flavor.
Paprika. I appreciate it. Have a good night, man. Dude, he gave us our first, I think, Joe, we've been doing this show a long time. He gave us our first Gilligan reference. I mean, that's an old-ass reference. Like Gilligan's Island. That's
Hey, man, you know, that just, you know, shows he's a mature guy. He's coming on. He knows what he's talking about. Shout out to Billy. Thank you for calling in, man. One heck of a Jets fan.
All right, we're going to go to Mr. Steve. Steve, what's up, man?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
Good. Are you guys staying safe from the virus?
Doing the best we can, man. It's very scary times. Just trying to stay home, washing our hands, and just, you know, doing the best we can, man. It's very difficult times right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
How about you?
Time, going through with all this
Are you
stuff.
doing okay?
Doing pretty good.
What are your thoughts on free agency?
You know, I mean, here's the thing, because I got to give Joe Douglas a lot of credit, because he knows the situation and the cap space that the Jets are in right now. And, the thing was, a lot of people are saying, okay, so why didn't they go after Coughlin, after when Theory got franchise tagged by the Patriots and stuff. But something, though? Joe Douglas is making offers, but doesn't want to go over budget. And you know what? And it's something that I got to give Joe Douglas credit for, because, when Mike McCagnon was our GM the last couple of years, all he would do is when we would have the money, he would just go out and just sign like all these big free agent needs that the Jets did need. But here's the thing, and in the past, when we spend it on a lot of the money on certain players, it never really worked out. Like, look at what happened with Tremaine Johnson. That's a perfect example. We paid him so much money, he ended up doing nothing. Now, going to the signings that they've done, the first one when they did the George Fant move, here's the thing. I know a lot of people are saying, okay, it wasn't really a good signing because, listen, he came from Seattle, all that stuff. I mean, listen, he's not the best offensive lineman I've seen. However, though, he's very athletic. He definitely has also some good potential. It's actually a good signing. I actually really did like that signing. For $9 million, that's not bad. But
wait, an inconsistent lineman that played on a bad offensive line, and we're a team that's desperate for help, and we paid $9 million, and you're saying it's not a bad signing?
To me, it's not a bad signing because he could also be good, for a backup.
Oh, so now we're paying $9 million for a backup. That's wonderful because we have so much cap space. We can start paying $9 million for backup players now, Joe. This money management's just phenomenal here. This is great stuff here. I can't wait.
Well, I think what Steve was trying to say was, look, Fant was signed, like you said, he did give him $9 million. Maybe he paid a little bit more, but Fant is also insurance for the moves that Joe Douglas could be making. We could still address left tackle, just in case Edoga or any other, option that can come there at right tackle. Maybe Fant ends up starting and filling in. And yeah, it's a risk, but Steve's willing to take that risk. Am I correct, Steve?
Yes. And that's what I was getting to the point. And then, going back, with other free agent signings, I think bringing Alex Lewis was a good move, and I especially like the move at center we made from getting the guy from Denver. I thought it was a good move. And listen, I know everybody's all saying, okay, Joe Douglas needs to break the bank. But you know what? I'm telling you, Joe Douglas, I think so far is doing a very good job at being capable with the money and not going over budgeting.
nobody's telling him to break the bank. We're saying is he needs to spend money. He may have to bring in some prominent players. Like if you can't sign good corners or elite corners, you could hide them with a very good pass rusher. So maybe you spend a little bit more to get a Dante Fowler. Like you got to just go out of the comfort zone a little bit to get it done. Like Steve, I understand the point where you don't want them to overspend and do that, but sometimes when you're a team desperate for talent, you may have to do that in certain situations.
No, I know you'll have to do. Listen, you'll definitely have to do it in certain situations. But the one thing I can say is that Joe and Tyson, that thank God we are not Houston Texans fans.
Yeah, but see, that's my question though. Would you have made a trade to including Le'Veon Bell? So the Texans, they got back David Johnson and draft picks. Would you include Le'Veon Bell in a 4th round pick to make that trade?
To get DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would. I would absolutely do that.
Yeah. Would you have made a deal for Stephon Diggs?
Not the kind of deal that the Bills made yesterday, because the Bills gave up a lot of picks to get Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I agree.
And to be honest, I got to be honest about Stephon Diggs. I mean, listen, I think Stephon Diggs is a very, very good receiver, but at times I feel like he's overrated.
He drops a lot of passes, man. I can tell you that. He definitely drops a lot of passes.
No, he does. I've watched some of his highlights before, and trust me, he's had a hard time securing onto the football. I mean, he was very good in his rookie. He was very good in his rookie season, but after that, it really hasn't been downfall hill. I mean, once after Kirk Cousins signed that deal with the Vikings, I mean, we all knew Stephon Diggs was going to go somewhere else, but now we got to face him twice a year. So, we're going to see what happens as these next few days and weeks goes on.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Diggs is a monster, man. That guy gets after it. But I want to ask you this, Steve. I know there's a lot of Jets fans rejoicing now because, apparently or supposedly Brady is now taking a deal with the Bucs, so he's out of the division. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Listen, I'm not really going to say, the Jets, everybody's all saying, okay, now the Jets have a great chance of winning the division. I mean, listen, from what I've been seeing so far, but, from what that's what other Jets fans are saying. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that.
The chance to win the division.
Listen,
playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
This isn't from me. This is from other Jets fans that I've read, from social media. And listen, winning the division is not a key thing. And even though with Brady out of the division now, with him signed Tampa Bay, it's still not going to be easy, Joe. It's not going to be easy.
I don't think anybody right now. You can say the Bills are probably the best team in the division. The Dolphins are loading up. And the Patriots, if they make a splash move for a Cam Newton or even an Andy Dalton, will be dangerous. So, the Jets are they're not like the new sheriff in town or something like that. They got so much work to do as opposed to everybody else, man. I find that hysterical. The one guy, I was listening to WFAN today, and they're like, oh, the Jets are the leaders in the pack now. I'm like, based on what? I'm like,
crazy. That is crazy.
If you rank the coaches in the division, we don't favor well. The only thing we have is Sam Darnold. That's it. And then I don't know, man. I don't. Whatever. But yeah, Steve, I'm not talking playoffs, dude. Right now, I'm not talking playoffs. I'm talking rebuild, and hopefully Joe Douglas has a plan.
I'm not talking about it either right now. I mean, listen. I'm not saying one thing at a time. I mean, listen. We still got a few more days of free agency, and next month, we've got the draft. See, I mean, the draft is definitely going to be huge for Joe Douglas coming up because I know we definitely still have a lot of address and needs for this roster. But, I mean, we're just going to see what happens as these days and weeks goes on.
All right, so who's your next move for the Jets? Who's the next guy you want?
I think the most obvious is to go after Brian Poole.
Cool. Steve, thank you for calling in, man. Be safe out there.
Too, man. Good night.
You too. See, Joe, now I want some credit for restraint because I was ready to absolutely unload on him, and I backed off, so I want credit for holding back.
Well, first off, shout out to Steve for calling in. I love him. He's a great Jets fan. Stay safe. Look, Ty, I respect you. I want to thank you. He just needs to clean it up a little bit. That's all. It wasn't nothing too crazy. It was just, I had to help him on a little out of that.
I felt you cringe.
But it's okay. We're all a team here. We're all together. But he has his takes, and he was able to spit them. Steve's got a great football mind, so shout out to him.
There's times when he says things, and I'm ready to chomp at it. I can just hear you just groan, oh no.
Well, look, hold on a second here, because I stand for the people. I'm not going to let you destroy them, you know what I'm saying? So, look, it is my pleasure to sit on this show every week and talk to Steve. I love it. He's a great dude. I don't have to protect him much. This guy knows what he's talking about. You just can't stand it because you can no longer push him around.
That $9 million backup thing, I was almost going to give. I was just we can't even afford. We can't even pay our starters $9 million, let alone a backup $9 million. But geez,
hey, look. Let's not get bogged down in details. Let's not do that. All right, just bogged down in all these facts. You push that out the way. Steve spits straight from his heart. Shout out to Steve, man.
We're going to go to Kenny in New Jersey. Kenny, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Not too bad for day 2 of free agency. What's on your mind?
So I found this whole entire free agency thing to be a disaster. And I'm still not on board. I love Connor McGovern signing. Great move. But now we're looking at second-tier free agents. We're looking at players with question marks. And we're going into the draft with those players. We have
how is it second? But Dante Fowler's not a second-tier free agent. If you get Robbie Anderson back, he's not second-tier. There's still prominent guys out there they can sign.
Robbie Anderson isn't going to fix our wide receiving core. Robbie Anderson isn't going to be the big guy. So we end up where we need a number 1 corner, we need more linemen, and we need a wide receiver, and we have a 1 pick at 11, and we can't pick all 3. And in the second round, the cornerbacks will dry up, the top-tier tackles will dry up, and we're left with depth wide receivers. And that's the issue with what Joe Douglas did. He didn't fix it. He didn't give us a position to say, hey, we're going to focus on these cornerbacks in free agency, and now we're going to worry about tackles in the draft.
Yeah, but
we're going to worry about wide receivers in the draft.
But the cornerback market, dude, is skyrocketing. Average guys are getting $13, $14 million a year. I really don't blame Joe Douglas for not getting involved in that. And what wide receiver did you want? Amari Cooper at $20 million when he wanted to stay in Dallas, we couldn't. You can't give him that money. So who else did you want?
Byron Jones, $18 million is reasonable for a shutdown corner.
Ooh.
$18 million for a guy who's going to be here for 3 years and lock it down for us, that's reasonable. I don't think that's a crazy number. And that's what we should have pushed hard for. $18 million is a reasonable number. And Gladstone was gettable.
I'm sorry. I want to thank you for calling in, but I understand Byron Jones, great corner. But are you really that comfortable with investing that much money yet again into the defense when the offense is so porous?
The offense and the draft align really well together. And I think that if Joe Douglas came out here and it looked like there was a plan, hey, we're going to spend a little bit on Dante. We're going to spend a bit on Dante Fowler. We're going to get Byron Jones, and that O-line is all we're going to focus on in this draft. That O-line, those wide receivers, we're going to load up. We're going to put up the depth. Then I'd be like, hey, there's a plan here. But I don't know if there's a plan right now. I think we have too many holes for our draft picks. We're going to go hard for Chris Harris, who's 30, instead of Byron Jones, who's 27. That's
Byron Jones is very expensive, man. Oof. That's a tough. I'm all in for a pass rusher. I'm not really sure if I want to give Byron Jones an $18 million. I'm more like Brian Poole, bring back other guys, maybe draft a corner, maybe go that route and spend money on a pass rusher. I'm not sure I want to give Byron Jones that money, man, to be honest with you.
I just think that when you have the good cornerback, it makes your whole team look better. We built our team on that concept before, and it made us win. I think that, a really high-end corner is rare.
Yeah, but last year they did it with smoke and mirrors at corner, and we're just fine. I mean, you bring back Poole, you draft a young guy, you could bring in, you go Chris Harris if you want. I mean, you save some money there, and you put it on a pass rusher instead.
We've succeeded against those bad offenses at the end of the year. In the beginning of the year, when we were playing those good offenses, we were playing those guys that could throw the ball, they were destroying us. They were killing us again and again because we can't match up one-on-one with anyone.
Yeah, but if you have a Dante Fowler as a pass rusher, isn't that a game-breaking kind of player that can disrupt where whatever quarterback is not sitting back there for 5 seconds?
But, I mean, what's going to stop when you go against a number one wide receiver, a guy who can get open quick? You know, Dante Fowler isn't going to save you against Patriots offense. I mean, now they don't have Tom Brady anymore. It's different, but that kind of quick strike guy, a Cole Beasley type, will get open fast. We don't have the ability, and the worst thing is we have the best quarterback in the division. And we don't have a team around him, and that's the struggle.
Well, that's the most frustrating thing. That's why, like, I got into a bunch of arguments today with people like, oh, well, the Jets are the owners of the AFC East because they have Sam. I'm like, no, that's the most frustrating part. We don't have the best coach. We don't have the best team. We don't have anything. We may have the best quarterback. That's about it. We don't have anything else compared to everybody else.
I mean, and I don't know why we're going to be taking so long doing everything. Where are our cuts? How come none of our cuts have been reported? We don't know who's still on this team. We don't know how much cap space we really have. You know, is Avery Williamson in the future plans for this team? We don't have an idea. There's no information coming through to say, like, hey, there's a plan here. We know where we have assets.
Well, I think what they do is they're going to probably do it as they sign guys. Like, even Brian Winters. A lot of us thought Brian Winters was going to be gone. Now he's still here. It's like, you know, if cap space is at a premium and you have guys here that are kind of questionable, but the Jets could be holding on to them until they could replace them. So it's kind of probably that. Keep in mind, it's only been 2 days. I mean, if we have this conversation a month from now, it's probably a problem. But I think there's still a lot of moves to be made, and I think it's just Joe Douglas is just doing it pragmatically, you know? I mean, what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, you know, I get it that Joe Douglas is taking his time. Like you said, you don't want to overpay for guys. You don't want to do all that stuff wildly, but there is a lot of moves to be made. But I'll agree, you know, with the call. It's just been disappointing for me so far because even though there's still some moves to be made, you're still getting those leftovers, those third-tier guys now. Maybe some of those second-tier guys left back, like you said. You know, Robbie Anderson, bringing back some of those guys. Robbie's a solid, you know, wide receiver. He's very one-dimensional. He's not a guy that's going to come back and instantly give us a number one. That's not happening. You know, he's not. You know, we got to figure something else out. You know, especially when you look at what was done along the offensive line. I mean, outside of McGovern and the Alex Lewis signing, I don't think anybody's really raving over, you know, Fant or any of that stuff. There's other stuff that he should have done more. I will disagree, though. I wouldn't necessarily spend money on Byron Jones. He's a great corner, but $18 million, I would not have done that because there are just so many holes elsewhere. And I just don't. I just think we should have invested a bit more in the offense as far as getting the guys that could really step up and come in and give us big production. You know, because those guys were out there and they weren't as expensive as we thought they were at first. But I want to ask the caller, outside of left tackle, you know, what is the biggest hole left on the Jets roster in your mind?
Cornerback. It ain't even a question. It's cornerback. We have Avoid and Bless Austin in there. We didn't tender Arthur Millette. I mean, we don't even have news on our tenders. Like, James Burgess is a guy that we probably want to bring back. Where's the news on him? And then right now, our cornerback is what? Our cornerback depth is 3 players deep. It's Nate Harrison, who's being overpaid at $2 million. Bless Austin, and some other guy who probably is not good. So,
not pretty bad.
Exactly.
It's so not pretty bad. I was surprised. Yeah. I was surprised by Millette, too. Like, they let him go. Like, I like Millette, but yeah, listen, there's a lot of things that are going to happen, man. I agree. We don't know about tenders. We don't know about signings and cuts and stuff like that. I think that within the next week or so, I think it's all going to play out. So there's a lot of things are going to happen, but it's going to be interesting, man. It really is. There's some, and I agree. Corner is a huge hole. I mean, Bless Austin played well, then he got benched. I mean, he made the big mistake, and they benched him, and who the hell knows if he can stay healthy. So there's definitely question marks.
Yeah, I mean, and the worst thing is we keep being tied to these players, and they keep going to the Bills or the Dolphins. Why do we keep looking at all these players that everyone thinks is good, and then you go on our
The only thing I think we've learned this offseason is almost every friggin' report that associated a player to the Jets was wrong. Almost every one of them. Every report that players tied to us has been wrong. So it is what it is. So have a good night, man.
So we don't like any good players? All right, man. It's a pleasure.
You too. We like players, but Joe, I was laughing because as you know, for as long as we've been doing this, like I said, we've been doing this a while, and like you see the games and media plays, like Conklin is going to the Jets. There's no other suitors. There's this, there's that, and the Jets are all in on Thuney and this, and like all the players that were like no-brainers, lock it down, write it in, give them this jersey number.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, you're 10 hours into free agency and they're all gone already. And the Jets weren't even like in the market for them. Like they weren't even in the same ballpark. So almost every report was wrong.
Yeah, it was. First off, I want to thank the last caller for calling in. He was great. You're right. I mean, guys were talking, hey, this is done. I remember, I think it was Florio that was saying that, Conklin is going, he's going to be a Jet, that's it. This point blank period, it's happening. There was multiple reports that were out there that were wrong, and there are other people talking about sources and all kinds of different stuff, and a lot of that stuff turned out to be wrong too, so it was a tough day for, guys reporting. There were some beat writers that was getting it right, here and there, but a lot of those reports.
Yeah, it's definitely some interesting times here at the Jets. We're going to go to James in Reno. James, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? Happy St. Patrick's Day. It's a green day, and, by listening to some of the callers, it feels like a funeral or something. A lot of people are upset, and you know what? Since Joe kind of dubbed me the Joe Douglas apologist, the Joe Douglas supporter, I got to defend my guy a little bit here. Yeah, you know what I mean? He's not here to be a backup. He's here to play. This guy, his book is still being written too. He's an undrafted free agent. He makes his way into Seattle, and he did make an impact there. The offensive line was atrocious the year prior, and so, when he came in, he became a starter this year. There was a little bit of stability on that O-line. It wasn't great, but a lot of their success had to do with him, and he's a mauler. He's a physical player. I like that. You know what I mean? I'm not. You know what? I wish I could have this guy at Conklin. I get it. I do get it. But for what he has and what we have right now.
If George Kittle was so good, why did they let him go?
Seattle, they may be thinking they can do better. I don't know what exactly what Seattle's thinking is, but you know what?
If they found a guy that's good, they probably would keep one finally.
You know what? He's an upgrade over what we have right now. He's an upgrade over Udoga. He's an upgrade over Shell.
I could make an argument, dude. He'd play. No, he's going to be replacing Kelvin Beachum, who I think is older and still better than him.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think they're definitely comparable. I think I think he's a more, maybe a better, what's his name, Ben Ajalana. I do compare him to him a little bit.
And I do think he played for 2 years. He made $5 million a year. He didn't play. He was inactive every week.
He can move, though. You can plug him in different tackle positions. He's a good swing player, and I think Fant is that. And he's a physical guy, especially if we get him going on the run. I think he can help our team. I love the center that we got, too.
As a jumbo tight end.
As a sixth tackle. Oh, my God, as a sixth lineman.
No, you know what? This guy, dude, you know what? His book's still being written, and we got to wait and see. Obviously, we don't know. You know what? The story's still going for us, too. We don't know what else is going to happen in free agency or what we can add. And like you said, he's a good insurance piece, and in the draft. We're going to see what happens in the draft, but we have to start making some aggressive moves, obviously. And I agree with you guys. Young corner is a huge need for us. There's no way we can go into the next levels of the off season with this cornerback group we have. So we need to get some corners going. Poole is a priority, obviously. He needs to come back, and if we can upgrade via trade or whatever we need to do, that is the next move we have to make. And it's going to be interesting to see.
Wait, time out. You just said the draft is important. If we're going to upgrade through a trade, what are we trading?
hard to say. You know what? Maybe you can package a fourth or a third and get, a starter. We don't know what exact. And don't kill me for this. We don't know what's going to happen with Ramsey, with the Rams. There's a lot of things, a lot of pieces, a lot of moving parts that are moving right now. And I think we want to be as flexible as possible.
Patrick Ramsey?
Jalen Ramsey?
Jalen Ramsey, right? Jalen Ramsey. I mean, so we don't really know what's.
Wait a minute. I was so shocked. I said, Patrick, Jalen Ramsey. What could you possibly think we would have to give up so much to get Ramsey? That would make it impossible for us to build through the draft, wouldn't it?
Do you think? I mean,
Hello?
Do you think it would take that much to get him? Like multiple firsts, I don't know.
Ramsey?
They gave up 2 first-round picks to get him.
Look at some of the trades that we've been seeing, like with Calais Campbell and a few other pieces. We are seeing some interesting things.
There's only one Bill O'Brien in the NFL, man. There's only one Bill O'Brien.
DeAndre Hopkins, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of pieces that are being moved right now. I think having some flexibility is a really good option, and we don't really know. It seems like this league is changing day to day right now, this week. So, you don't know what's going to be available. A.J. Green, is Cincinnati committed to signing him, or did they franchise him to trade him? I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of options on the table.
Now you want to trade for A.J. Green? Wait. What are you trading for A.J. Green?
Maybe a third-round pick. Like, you don't think that would be a terrible, you know what I mean, give Sam a number one receiver for a third-round pick? I mean,
a number one
possible.
I want to live in your world, man.
All right, we gotta. I need you to hit the gas. Put this car back in gear. Let's go the other way. Okay, I'll stand for the people, and I'm gonna stand for you. But look. There's this in my mind. There's no way you can get Jalen Ramsey for cheap. I mean, this dude is one of the best corners in the league, if not the best corner in the league.
They gave up 2 first-round picks to get him.
They gave up 2 first to get. I mean, no. And AJ Green is not the answer. I'm sorry if he's the answer. I don't know what. I don't even want to know what the question is. Look, let's just get back.
We need answers
really quickly. Yeah, this is anyway. So when you look at that. How about a trade like this? Would you be interested in seeing the Jets trade for Trent Williams?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I know he's going to be an expensive piece, but I think it's worth it to protect Sam. I do. I think that would be a good move.
So what are you willing to get him?
I'm going to give up a third-round pick. One of those thirds that we have. I think that's got to be, the starting point. I'm probably not going to go, above that. I think, with the third-round pick, that gets it done. And, we have that in our cap. I mean, that's going to be crazy, but we're still going to have a whole lot of, holes out there. But I think shoring up that offensive line, I think that's the way to go. And then, obviously we have other holes, corner, wide receiver, seeing what Robbie's going to do. And, Robbie's going to be a big piece, Can you imagine our offense without him? You know what I mean? That's going to be a huge thing, and he does have that relationship with Sam. And I know he's one-dimensional, but he's going to give you that home run threat. I mean, that's a valuable piece on offense. And obviously, if we don't have that, you start to have even more questions. So, I'm starting to think Robbie.
What do you think about Philip Dorsett?
No, no, I don't think he's, comparable to Robbie. Dorsett is going to give you a home run threat, but he never comes through. How many times do the guys just leave him wide open because they know he's not going to bring it in, or, and he can only do one thing. And Robbie, he can do one thing, but he is really good at it, right? Obviously, I'm not saying he's winning for that. He's not.
If they both only do one thing, I pay for the cheaper guy then with that reason.
Yeah, but Robbie's going to get your. Robbie's going to make a play. He's going to give you a touchdown. He's going to give you something. And whereas Philip Dorsett, I mean, you really don't know. And most of the time, he never catches it. So there's no way you can have that. And Robbie, you know what? He had a bad year, but how many times was he open last year? And he just wasn't able to get the ball, or the play just didn't develop, the timing was off, whatever it was.
I don't think he necessarily had a bad year. I mean, I think you got to keep in mind that he also had Luke Falk for 3 games or 2 games or whatever the hell it was. It wasn't like he was playing with, an all-star cast. He didn't have Sam Donald all year.
Right, and I just think having him, beefing up this offensive line, I think it's going to create, a lot of opportunities for our offense, and, we just don't know what or how those opportunities are going to come about, and I think I feel a whole lot better with Robbie being here. Poole, you know what I mean, the kind of player Poole, he's very versatile, having him back. Those guys are kind of priorities right now, and I know Jordan Jenkins, I've always loved the way he plays, I love his game. But, I think Phillips, what's his name, Kyle Phillips, I think, he really showed out this year, and maybe that's why we're not bringing Jenkins back. Because what Phillips was able to bring last year.
Wait. Kyle Phillips is a defensive lineman. Jordan Jenkins is an outside linebacker. They play completely different positions.
Yeah, but they can set the edge, though, too. They both, Kyle Phillips was really good at that last year. Yeah, I thought so.
I think what he's trying to say is that, look, yes, Jordan Jenkins is a great player, did a lot of really good things for us. As he said, Jordan Jenkins was also one of our sack leaders. But, yes, they do take different positions, but they were both having a very solid season last year. I think that's what he was trying to say. The output of production. We really did see Phillips step up and step in different situations and really be able to give us some solid production. Is that right? I think that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah, that's, what I mean. I think what Kyle Phillips could bring this year, I think that can replace a little bit what Jordan Jenkins was bringing us.
How does it replace what Jordan Jenkins does? Jordan Jenkins is on the outside. He's an outside linebacker. Kyle Phillips is using the middle. He's on the defensive line. They're 2 completely different players doing 2 completely different things. Probably 2 different weight classes, too, for Christ's sakes.
You know what? Kyle Phillips is pretty versatile, and I think you could move him to that outside spot if, they want to get creative on defense. I'm serious. Like, you know what? Or let's say they want to play more of a 4-3 instead of what we were doing. That could be a part of that too. Like I said, I do like Jordan Jenkins, but I think he's going to move on, and whether it's the Giants or wherever.
Pounds. That's one big ass outside linebacker. Then 280 pounds.
Right. Well, not like in a 3-4. You're not going to play. You know what I mean? But if we're going to play 4-3 and he's going to play that outside end, I mean,
who's going to be the outside
linebacker
then?
Man, that's going to be what we have to figure out. We're going to have to see if one of these guys that we have can actually fill something like that, whether it's the Samoan guys that we have, or if we get an opportunity to draft someone, there's, some unique, prospects in the draft. But that's going to be another question, right? And we're trying to fill as many things as we can on this roster, and right now we just have so many holes, and it's going to be hard to bring back everything. But, I think for me the 2 priorities are Robbie Anderson and Poole, at that nickel corner. I think those are our priorities, and, we're going to have to keep fishing, keep looking, like at that outside linebacker spot, and hoping no longer on the offensive line. I'm hoping in the next few days we get more aggressive, and we fill that our line. if we got to get a Trent Williams, that's what we do. Or, whoever else is out there, whatever we have to do, getting the Van Rotten from Carolina, helping shore up that guard spot, whatever we have to do it now, and it has to be, done aggressively. We can't, we're not going to be able to sit back and wait and watch forever. And then see what happens in the draft. I know a lot of people want to move down. I kind of want, a top playmaker at that spot. I'm kind of keying in on staying there and staying put. And, I know it's sacrificing draft picks and spots, but, we're trying to maximize everything right now, and if we can, get an elite player, you don't even have to be an offensive lineman. Even if it's one of those elite receivers, that helps us too. But, we just got to be in the best position possible. So, and I think it starts with the line. That's kind of what we have.
And I actually have to apologize to you too, because Kyle Phillips actually played outside linebacker in college, so he actually did do it in the past. I guess he must have put on weight and put on size as he went pro and became more of a defensive lineman. So I have to apologize. I guess he did play that. It's up to see him as a defensive lineman instead of an outside linebacker.
In my mind, that's kind of what I viewed him. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like a wild shot, though, on my part, too, because that's just me kind of thinking out loud. But, that could be, who knows? That could be a possibility. I don't know. But, and like I said, we got to start filling these holes, and I think it starts with the O-line for sure. And like I said, I would like to get that Rotten too, but I mean, right now I think our priorities are Robbie and Poole, at corner. I think those are the guys we have to have back, and and then let's do trades.
You and these trades, man. Who are we trading now? What are we going to trade?
Well, who I really, if they were willing to give him up is Xavier Howard from the Dolphins. I don't know if the plan is to keep him. Yeah. But you know what? Yeah, but he doesn't. It seemed like he didn't like it when he was there, right?
Dude,
earlier in the season.
Thanks for calling they're not trading David Howard to us, man. Thanks for calling it, man. We appreciate it. Now prime time saying that Kyle Phillips is an outside linebacker. I could have sworn he was a defensive lineman.
Well, first that's why I had his back. I knew what he was saying. I knew the production could be there. That's why I backed him. That's why I keep you, away from the people. I don't let you destroy them. I don't let you taint them. I had his back the entire way. I knew what was going on, and so did he. So shout out to him, man, for calling in, standing his ground, and giving us those fire takes. Shame on you, Tyson.
Yeah, shame on me. I just thought he was a defensive lineman. So what the hell do I know then? That proves I don't know shit. Stuff. So we're gonna go to
family show, man. Come on.
I just slipped. Dude, it's almost 20. It's at the tail. I'm tired. Steve, what's up, man? How are you feeling, man? The Jets signed 3 offensive linemen, so they're making some progress.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm doing jumping jacks because we signed George Fant, but I like the McGovern move. I mean, I think we all kind of wanted Lewis back, and he got reasonable money, so I like the money for McGovern and Lewis, but a ballsy move going into the season, planting George Fant at left tackle after he got benched from one of the worst lines in the league last year. It's a big risk.
Yeah, but I think he's a guy now, but I think there's probably a bigger plan in place, whether it's trade for Trent Williams, whether it's get a guy in the draft. I don't think he's going to be. Now, I'm praying he's not the starting left tackle. I mean, I would be shocked beyond shock, but what is your next moves for this team as they go forward? Because they still have cap space, and there's still plenty of prominent guys out there.
I mean, for me, I really want another tackle. This George Fant thing is just crazy because they're paying him a lot of money. So I feel like they're paying him money to come in here and play, and that's just,
exactly.
As we get closer to the draft, it's like there's a lot more teams ahead of us now that could snag an offensive tackle, and hoping to roll into an offensive tackle at 11 is a good strategy until 11 comes around and there's no offensive tackle to take. So I would be all over like a Trent Williams trade, or maybe Peters on like a 1 to 2, maybe a 1-year deal, just to, you got something there if you don't get the tackle at 11. But I would be all over like a Trent Williams trade right now, in my opinion. Yeah. If I could get him for a 3rd-round pick and less than $18 million a year, I'd sign up for that like right now.
Yep. And I want to thank you for calling in. I'm right there with you, and I've been saying this since I don't know when, since the situation happened with the Redskins when he was announcing he was not going to come back. It was like, listen, we got to do what we can to get this guy, because you have to get somebody in here that be able to protect Sam. And look, I watch Fant. He's not good, and I'm hoping that they don't think he's the answer at left tackle. But even putting him at right tackle is suspect. And to me, and I've said this before, I said it all throughout the show, they're paying him like he's going to be a starter. Because if you're paying $9 million for a backup, that just sounds crazy to me. So to me, it seems like he's going to be starter, and he's going to be at least the right tackle as of now.
it's crazy because he's right now like the 7th or 6th highest paid right tackle in the league, and I'm like the 17th highest paid left tackle
in the league. Yep.
It's I gotta say, man, it's a ballsy move, but like, I might sound like anti-Jets here, but like usually when we're the only team in on a player, it's not a good sign.
Yeah. And look, I'm right there with you, but and you brought up something else that I've talked about as well a little bit earlier, was when you're sitting at 11 and there's multiple teams ahead of you that now, have either addressed needs, like, to me, the Cardinals, in my mind, they would have been looking to take a tackle, but they definitely would be looking to take one now because they shored up another spot with bringing in Hopkins. So they don't need a wide receiver. So CeeDee Lamb might have been there for them, but now that's gone. So when you see all these teams up there that could be looking at taking a tackle before us, in your mind, where does that take us in the draft? Would you like to see the Jets trade up, or could you see the Jets now trading down and just trying to stockpile picks?
So if the Jets don't get another tackle and we're there at 11, I would probably just stay at 11 and take Judy or Lamb, or an edge rusher if their stock rises a little bit. I'm not a big trade down guy.
Yeah, neither am I. Especially not in the first 2 rounds. I want to get the best player there and just. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat you are.
We need to get studs.
No, I completely agree. What is your wish list right now? If you had the top 3 guys you want going into tomorrow, who are they?
First would definitely be, I would say, Trent Williams. Definitely Trent Williams. Dante Fowler would be a nice piece. Or what's his name? I like that guy that just got released from the Lions today, Devin Kennard. It's like a young linebacker. Good.
But I don't think
7
he was
sacks a year.
Yeah, but I don't think he was released. They said he was going to be released. Now they're trying to trade him, I think, though. Was he officially released?
Yeah, they're trying to move him. They released him 3 hours ago.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because I was watching that, too, and then all of a sudden they said, oh, no, now he's on a trade market. I'm like, oh, he's a hell of a player, man.
Here's the thing. He's a good, a high motor player, good locker room guy. He's like a back-to-back. I think he was like a captain for the last 2 or 3 years. Similar sacks to Jenkins, but with this Jenkins market apparently hitting $13 million, I'm out on that. If I can get Fowler at 17 or 18, sign me up for that. I like Jenkins. He's a good player, good locker room dude, but that's crazy.
Yeah, and I guess the rumor is he's been talking to the Giants a lot too. So I guess that's what they're looking at him. That money's wild. I mean, if he gets it, good for him. I like him as a player. He's a great dude, but that's way out of the Jets' price league. I think that's Dante Fowler money. You're a little bit higher, a couple million more. You're getting Dante Fowler.
Yeah, exactly. And I know I get it. Jenkins is he's getting better every year, but I need to see more than 8 sacks for 13 million. I mean, that's Robbie Anderson's money right there. A little bit less, hopefully.
No, I completely agree. Steve, thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate it.
No problem, Phil. Catch you later.
Yes, sir. We're hitting all over the country here, Joe. We got New York. Yeah, all over the place. We got Florida, all over the country here. We're going to go to Billy.
That's what it's all about.
And the funny thing is, we're trying to do all these things, and Primetime send me messages, all the mistakes I'm making. I'm like, dude, you host the show. It ain't easy, man. We got all kinds of chaos in here. We have sound problems. We got player disputes. We got bad takes, good takes, arguing. There's a lot to keep track of around here. Now he's giving me grief, too. What the hell?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. Look, we've got a ton of people.
He makes 2 videos, now he thinks he's a star again. This is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's just, woof. We're going to go to Billy in Oakland. Billy, what's up, man?
Hey, fellas, how you guys doing tonight, all right?
Not too bad, man. We're encouraged. The Conor McGovern thing made everybody a little more excited, I think.
I agree. I mean, you saw those memes last night with the guy poking a stick at Joe Douglas, and I have to be honest, I kind of bought into that last night, but after, this evening, I feel a little bit more at peace. I know everyone's calling you with the same situation with Fant, but, let's just pencil him in. He's playing one of the tackles next year. We don't know if it's left. It's
hopefully not
right.
left.
At this point, I agree with you, but at this point, let's pencil him, right? We know we have our left guard. We potentially have our center, or maybe he'll play right guard. I'm hoping he's staying at center with McGovern today, because I was looking at his rankings, and wow, he had a great year. He was by far the best on the board.
Yep.
But the versatility is huge, and okay, let's say whoever we fill in for right guard next year, if we wind up keeping Winters, or we can cut Winters, save the $7 million, we bring Van Roten in, one of those guys get hurt. We still have Harrison from last year, so that I feel like the grass is a little bit greener with offensive line, believe it or not.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, there's progress, but there's a lot more to be done. Like, I know we're penciling in Fant. I'm not really sold on that. Winters, even if you pencil him in, will he stay healthy? I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like you want to have like I want to find building blocks. Like, you kind of want to have guys that are here for 4 or 5 years together as a unit, where Sam knows the same guys in the same spot week in and week out. That's why, like, Mark Sanchez did well, because he knew who he had in front of him week in, week out. Like, the guys were always there, so it's like that's kind of what you want to build for Sam. But then how do you want to handle the wide receiver position?
So I've been thinking about it. I know New York Jets Magazine came on, and, man, that was like scorching the earth. But a lot of the stuff he says makes sense. But I do certainly think we have a lot more money than we think. And I'm just, the one thing I just want to talk about with free agency is Jordan Jenkins, awesome dude. Serviceable warrior, $13 million, you can say, see you later. And I think the guy that was just calling, he was talking about Phillips, I think he meant Terrell Basham, who actually did a really nice job setting the edge and actually got to the quarterback every once in a while with that outside linebacker position. He's making $600K. Now, that's not bad.
Yeah, he was excellent.
My thought, and I'll tell you, I have a huge problem with the roster, but I think the thing is, I'm signing Robbie. And I know he's limited in his skill set, but he did make some improvements in the route tree. He had some comebacks that we had never seen before. He caught contested balls. And I mean, if the number's going to be $17 million, okay, we're not doing that. But the idea is, if we can get in that 13-14, we got to do it. We have to do it, because if you think about it, do you want to go with Crowder, Berrios, and bring Demaryius Thomas back? I can't do it.
Yeah. First off, I want to thank you for calling in. I hear you. I remember before free agency, like I said, I was saying 10, 11 million was where I would get the stopper for Robbie. To me, 13, 14, that's still too high for me, because like you said, we talked about, his skill set is limited. And I think that there's cheaper options out there that can do exactly what he does, whether it be via the draft, or there's still some guys out there in free agency. I mean, what do you think about a guy like Philip Dorsett?
Well, I know I share the same sentiment as everybody. I mean, he got 6 touchdowns in New England. He used to be a burner, but he's on the back end. I just don't see it as being a viable replacement for anyone. Like, it's not a guy I want associated with the team. I mean, I think we can certainly free up money, and this is what I was looking at, over the cap, the numbers. We have entirely too many defensive linemen on this team, guys. I mean, I'm just looking at it like, we were awesome at stopping the run, but a lot of that's credit to the guys that are making $300,000. I mean, what was it, Fatukasi last year, and then the Kafusi boys when they played. And, as much flack as our first-round pick came, as he got last year, he stopped the run. So, as I know, like Steve McClendon, he's a warrior, and he was awesome against the run. But, if you cut him, you're only getting a cap charge. Henry, that's what the next one I'm going to bring up. If you cut McClendon and you restructure, I think you only get like $250,000 cap hit, and that's like a good $4 million in savings. Henry Anderson's interesting because you don't get a crazy savings by cutting him because of that $7 million dead cap. But would he be a guy that you think, because it's only 1 year really left on that deal, do you think that's a guy you could actually trade? Think about all this amazing money all these defensive ends are getting. I'm just wondering because, a cut, you would save a couple bucks, but I was wondering, people seem so hungry for these defensive ends, and it seems that seems to be that all we have at this particular point on our roster.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could explore that, but what type of value do you think he would really have? What could we possibly get back, in in return for that? Because I know people aren't necessarily raving about the season that he had.
Well, I mean, I think the value would be clearing his money off the books, and then you can do something else. I mean, the fact that if you trade him, I looked at it, if you trade him post June 1st, there's no dead money. So let's just say, we got him for a 7th-round pick. Let's say, okay, maybe you got him for a 6th. Wouldn't that still be worth it, being that we have so many plug-and-play guys there?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you got to look at all the guys that actually played well there. Where it's like you look at Nathan Shepard, you look at there's just interesting. I was trying to look up contracts while you were talking, and you're actually right. Where there's a lot of money invested there, and can you actually get value from somewhere else? I don't know. Is this contract tradable?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it just really we're just passing off $7 million. If I'm being honest, I would give them away for free just because we get that back. The 7th-round pick, throw in a pro pick. How do you guys feel about the cornerback position? I know, like my three guys that I would love to add today or tomorrow would be in this order. Would be Poole for the nickel, Robbie as our wideout, and obviously Dante Fowler. I also really would like to add Arthur Millette back. Obviously, these aren't household names. The rookie did a nice job last year, blessed, before that one mistake, and I thought it was actually short-sighted to bench him for the rest of the year. Obviously they didn't play good teams at the end. We know this, but we really didn't talk about secondary being a problem the whole second half of the year. So I feel like if we can get that pass rusher and Fowler to kind of counteract what the last caller had said, that might make our secondary look better.
Well, see, the thing is, there's a couple things there. Yeah. I agree with Poole. I like Poole as well, but Bless Austin got benched. Another thing about Bless Austin nobody's really talking about is the guy never stayed healthy. I mean, he came to the Jets basically never playing at Rutgers. He played a few games, made a mistake, so he has to prove that he can play a 16-game season at a quality level. Millette, I liked as well. Something must have happened there because it's weird that they didn't tender him. And then you have Nate Hairston, who seemed like Greg Williams didn't like. They benched him as well, but he's still on the roster, so I'm not really sure. But like we've talked about earlier, like your best way to cover corners is with a great pass rush, which we haven't had an eon. So if you want to bring in a Fowler or something like that, that'll definitely help.
Absolutely. I mean, we haven't had a pass rush.
And hopefully Quinn Williams will come in. I mean, Jesus. Freaking Quinn Williams got to do something up the middle.
Oh, absolutely. But, I mean, I started the day, I think I even, with being at home with the coronavirus and not being at work, I think I had, my wife told me I was looking a little depressed. But after these two other signings, I'm trying to see light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you feel bad because how do we get in this situation again and again and again? Yep. But I feel like
exactly.
I still think there is money for those three guys that we keep tossing around. I definitely value everything you say about Robbie. Maybe 14 is too much, but I think I'd rather have Robbie than Dorsett.
No, I would too. I think there's a way to get all of them done. Can they do it? It remains to be seen. I'm wondering if a team like the Redskins goes which tends to always overspend, gives Robbie too much money, or somebody like that, or Matt Rule can bring him down to the Panthers, where he used to play for Rule. You're wondering if there's always that one contract where that's just a stupid, it's a stupid deal if that happens.
Absolutely.
Or the other thing is too is if you look at the cornerback market, which today just took off, and guys were getting insane money. How does that impact Brian? What does Brian Poole get now? Does he get priced out?
I feel like in his case, maybe no news is good news. The fact that it's moving slow, because again, I don't know if people value the PFF, but I mean, coverage snap. He's number one corner in football behind Richard Sherman last year. The way that you calculate it, the fact that we're not hearing his name might be a good sign. And I think you guys both had said it. Maybe with he and Robbie, they said, go see what you can get and come back. Because the one thing we can say about Douglas is all three of these contracts he doled out, they've all been very team-friendly because they all have outs. I know, again, Fant is at $13 million guaranteed. It seems mind-boggling, but the same, if he plays right tackle, he plays left tackle for a year, and we get a top 15 pick again next year, well, he's gone. See ya. So I think he certainly should get some credit. Oh, is it 9? Okay.
Yeah, and I hear you there. Yeah, and I hear you there. That is a team-friendly deal, but do you get the value as far as the talent? That's the problem, because and Tyson said it earlier. When you go into free agency, you're looking, or when we went into this offseason period, you were saying, hey, we're looking for building blocks. And I get that they're team-friendly deals and they're outs, but putting Fant on your line at right tackle or left tackle, did that really make us better? I think that's the bigger question that we need to ask. Yeah, I don't believe it either. I don't believe we got better at all. You know, this guy's still a liability. So it's like, yeah, it's a team-friendly deal. It's an easy out, but you didn't really solve your problems. Because to me, in my mind, and I've heard a lot of people say it still, regardless of what tackle position he plays, you still should be looking for a tackle. Because that guy is a liability.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I guess I could essentially, you know, people have kept saying bring Beachum back, and I know it's another great man, and he had a great, you know, last quarter of the season protecting Sam, but he got that other guy killed against Myles Garrett. I know Myles Garrett has made better guys look worse, but Beachum, in my opinion, had a terrible beginning of the year. He was so bad, and he made it up and he got his grades up in that second half. But is he better? Maybe he's still better than Fant. We never know. I still think Fant's probably going to be better than Udoka was, because he was another guy that was like a turnstile that after one good game. I don't understand how he's in a plan. You know, we have a lot of holes on day 2, and we may have more holes on day 2 than we did 2 days ago. But I'm trying to put like my best foot forward and say, you know, at least there's some value here. I like the left guard at $6 million per. Maybe he will be better with some good guys around him, and Alex Lewis, that is. Maybe he's got to stop with the holding, because an interior lineman should not be holding anyone. Period. But maybe, you know, with McGovern and Lewis, and we bring Van Roten in, and you have this guy on the right, and you draft. Let's say, and I even the magazine guys said trade back. And again, I agree with you guys. If you got that premium guy, and even if it is a wide receiver, like your mouth waters, because we haven't had one of those. If it's CD or if it's Judy, or I'm not really in love with the speedster. I just don't think. I think he's like another limited guy. Is it Ruggs? Is that his name?
Yeah, Ruggs, Henry Ruggs.
Well, I wouldn't draft him there necessarily, but CD, I mean, he just jumps off everything. He just looks like a monster. He looks like a little Julio Jones to me in a lot of ways. But if you know all 4 tackles are gone, maybe you go one of those. But I wouldn't mind trading back a couple spots for a guy that wants a receiver, and then you can still get, you know, the other big boy, Josh Jones, or even you can still add pieces to the line, because I still think we do need 2 offensive linemen, 2 wide receivers, a running back perhaps, a cornerback. I mean, we can go here all night. I know you guys are limited in your time, and I appreciate you letting me talk, but I don't feel like I'm trying not to like give into the darkness here. I feel like the signings can be okay. Will they be? I have no idea, but I'm trying to be positive.
It's only day 2, man. It's only day 2, Billy. So much can happen between now and August. Like, there's so many more moves to be made. There's gonna be teams cutting players. Like, you want the guy from Dallas that they're not sure they're going to bring him back or not. There's plenty of good linemen out there. I think we just got to give Joe Douglas some time. I mean, it's only been a couple days. Stay positive. It's going to get better. We're going to have some faith for now. We'll give him about a month or 2, then we can start roasting him.
I always have flashbacks of the Jets being the favorites to win the Super Bowl. I remember I was in section 323, and then Vinny Testaverde getting hit low, and then I don't think I've ever recovered since that. So.
I understand. I was good too. Have a good night, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. Good luck with everything. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Joe. I have a question, Joe. When in the hell am I becoming the voice of positivity? Why am I the positive person? What the hell is going on here?
First, I want to thank the last caller for calling in. He was great. Look, I don't think you're being the voice of positivity. Look, it's understandable, though. You got to understand. You know, a lot of people came into free agency with high hopes, thinking we can get, you know, some real difference makers in here. A lot of guys, big names, and then to see things go the way it goes, you know, it discourages a lot of people. You know, it does, especially when you're signing guys like George Fant. You know, especially with he's the first name you get back. So, you know, it's understandable, but there's still some time. Like I said, I'm still, you know, I have faith in Joe Douglas. I'm waiting to see what he does, and we'll see what kind of moves he makes coming up. But I definitely was disappointed as well with day one. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see, us really get aggressive and attack this market. But we'll see what he compiles, what he puts together.
All right, and now we're going to go to your favorite caller, Justin. Justin, what's up, man?
Oh, my God. This show is very hard to digest today.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. To tell you the truth, I really don't know how I feel about free agency. Yesterday I was just like, all right, let's let Joe Douglas work. You know how it always is. I wasn't expecting any flash signings, so nothing too flashy yet. Then you guys get on the phone. Then you got Jay's nonsense, him making excuses how we don't have any money, which that's absolutely not true. That we shouldn't make any moves. We don't agree with him. Then you got this caller talking about Robbie, which I understand his point. Then you got Kyle Phillips. Talk. I mean, we've been all over the place tonight.
See, we're proud of our diversity and our variety of topics. We keep it moving. We keep things interesting, man. We don't want to bore people with Steve. You know what I mean? We gotta keep it interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting to say the least.
Jeez, you're a hard critic, Joe. He's being very hard. Joe, what do you think?
Well, listen, that's Justin. And again, I want to thank him for calling in. So, Justin, I want to get your thoughts on this, man. Since you're talking, what are your thoughts about the signing of George Fant?
I don't know if we're being too harsh. I don't know too much about him, so I started looking at some stuff. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's a little bit of a risk. I mean, I don't think the contract's $13 million. I think it was down to maybe $9 million with an out in the first year. I think it got down to. So I don't think it was as high as it meant to be. I mean, it's a risk. Don't get me wrong, but he does have he wasn't as bad as people are making it out to be. I was watching his run. It's a little suspect, but I mean, it could be a risk. And I mean, you got so many holes. I don't think it's as bad as people say.
Well, I think it's pretty bad, Justin. I watched him, but to me, even with giving him that deal, to me, I think you pencil him in as a starting right tackle. I don't think he's the plan for the starter. I'll tell you that right now. So people are saying we gave him starter money. Maybe we pay a little bit more. I don't think he's the plan for the starter. I'll tell you that right now. So if he's not a starter, why would you give him $9 million? I mean, that's starting money.
That part's a little confusing. But I mean, I guess that's the fallback option if the plan A doesn't work. But I don't know if he's considered the starter right now. I think we're gonna have to just let that one play out.
Okay, so if in your mind he's not the starter, how do you think we handle the left tackle position then?
Trent Williams. I'm starting to get turned down to a second round pick. Call me crazy, but I third round pick in the future, fifth round. Yep, I think I'm starting to, especially if we sign Robbie Anderson. I'm starting to get turned on to a second round pick. The guy's still 31 years old. Unless his contract demands, that's where it gets a little tricky with him. Unless his contract demands is totally astronomical, I think he still has 4 or 5 years of football left.
Okay, say Trent Williams wants $18 million a year or $17 million a year. Would you give it to him?
Depends what other moves we do, honestly. Are we bringing back Robbie? Are we bringing back Poole? Or are we saying those two are walking?
Well, I mean, you got to, hopefully you're bringing back at least Poole, but you got to make a decision. Like, say tomorrow the Redskins say,
I think Poole is going on. I'll tell you that right now. With the cornerback market shaping up the way it is, I think Poole's out the door.
Okay, so what do you do? So say Poole's at the door. What do you want to do with Trent Williams? They say, listen, for a third round pick, you can have him, and he says, I want $17 million a year.
17, I don't know. I mean, how much did Conklin get? 15?
He got 14, I think.
Well, he got $20 million guaranteed, $20 million the first year, and I think it's 14 per after.
I think 17's pushing it with his injuries in the past. 17's too much.
I would do it.
I would go 14.
I would do it. I'm telling you right now, I would do it. I would give him $16 million, 17 million, and move on.
You paying Robbie too? You paying Robbie, Joe?
No, I'm not paying Robbie. I'm not paying Robbie at all.
I disagree.
Not unless Robbie's willing to come for $10 million. I'm not paying Robbie because I will take Trent Williams. I will pay him $16 million. I don't know about Fant. There's nothing I can really do about that at this point. So we'll figure out that right tackle position. But that's
Beecham?
what
You
that
bring
does.
Beecham back then, or no?
No, I'm not bringing Beecham back. You already know how I feel about Beecham. No, thank you. I would start Trent Williams there at left tackle. I would go into the draft.
Well,
and
why
that
are we
would,
not talking about Pete?
That would make my draft more fluid. So now
Yeah,
I
why
can
are we
either
not
take a
talking
wide
about Pete?
receiver or trade down.
Why are we not talking about Pete?
Talk about, say again, can you?
Pete, Andres Pete.
Andres
no.
Pete. Yeah. No, I would, listen, like I said, I would pay Trent Williams. I would figure out what we could do, and I would go into the draft, and it wouldn't hold me up.
Cordy Glenn?
I could either trade down, or I could
Cordy
take
Glenn?
a
How
wide
old is Cordy
receiver there.
Glenn?
No, I'm not taking. I'm not Cordy Glenn.
No?
Not Cordy Glenn. No, I wouldn't do Cordy Glenn.
All right, let's see. All right, let's change the topic. What about the cornerback? What are we doing there?
Draft.
What about Desmond Trufant?
No, unless you're talking about bringing Poole back, just go draft. That's it.
So you're not interested in Desmond Trufant?
I mean, he'd be a guy that you can bring in for if he worked out on a solid deal, but that wouldn't be my first option. I would go draft. I would bring Poole back if it was possible, because there's still other guys that can be out there, and I'd draft.
I got one for you. I'm gonna go on. One thing we haven't touched upon. I think if Jeff Oku's on the board, we take him. That's a no-brainer in my mind.
Quarterback in the first round?
Yes,
no. That is.
I would jump off a bridge.
Listen. I hear what you're saying because he's talented. I'm not going to blast you because he is an extremely talented corner. But there's no way that you can justify that.
Why not? Why don't we get Fowler back? If we get Fowler, why can't we justify it?
Because you can't take a corner in the first round when your offense is void of talent. You can't take a corner in the first round if you still have questions at right tackle. You cannot do that. You can't do that. You can't. Justin, how many years? Hold on. Wait. How many years have we poured draft pick after draft pick after first round draft pick into this defense? For years, we've done that. Where did that get us? At what point are we going to start to look and say, "Hey, we need a wide receiver. Hey, we need some type of offensive talent that is void of weapons." I understand there's a need for corner, but there's later and mid-round picks where we can do that. We do not need to take a corner in the first round. We should not do that.
You can take a wide receiver later on, second round.
And pass up on a Jerry Jeudy? Pass up on a CeeDee Lamb? No, thank you.
If you bring back Robbie.
Robbie is not a number one wide receiver. Can you name the last time we've drafted a number one wide receiver, Justin?
We never.
When is the last time we drafted a number one wide receiver?
The last time we drafted a receiver, we all know how that worked out. Catastrophe. Stephen Hill.
He was taken in the second round, Justin. I said round one wide receiver. When is the last time we've taken? When was the last time we've had a homegrown number one wide receiver here?
Yes, I get that, but I
so said and done.
I mean, I don't think our offense is that depleted like we're making it out to be. We're getting guys back. We're getting Herndon, Ryan Preston.
We had the worst offense in the league. What are you talking about? How is it not as bad as I'm making it out? We had the worst offense in the league. The bottom.
Yeah, but
They'll had career lows coming here. Do you understand? The worst season he's ever had here. And he's a certified Hall of Famer. He had the worst season he's ever had here. So what are you talking about?
Corners then? You're going into the season with Les Austin and who knows? Marlette's not under contract. So who are the starter corners?
Tell you right, man. I'll let you.
Yeah, if you realize what our division just got, Stephon Diggs. I mean, but Miami's improving. I mean, cricket. If Oku's on the board, I'm taking him. Point blank, period.
Yeah, see, Justin, it's hard to really say what to take right now. We don't know what what we're going to do with the rest of our offensive line.
We have to see where it shakes out. But I think the thing that's going to mess us up is if we don't get Robbie back, I think we're going to take a receiver at 11, no doubt. Unless we trade back, I think 11 is going to be a receiver because everyone you got the Cardinals that are definitely going offensive line. You want to get the fourth best offensive line, or you want to get the number one receiver? If it's me, I want to get the number one receiver. But I mean,
no. See, if we don't address left tackle before then, I'm still going lineman first round. We gotta get the offensive line solidified, man. I can't.
Yeah, so we're gonna get.
You can't keep taking chances.
Best lineman, no thanks.
Yeah, see, I guess we'll see, man. We'll see what happens between now and then, and see how big the Jets' needs are. So, thanks for calling, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, good time.
All right, we're gonna go to James in Staten Island. James, what's up, man?
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, man. What's on your mind?
Just like free agency, the George Fant signing. He wasn't a fan.
Did they pay too much for him, or you just don't like the player?
I think it's way too much paid.
Okay.
On a cheaper contract, it wouldn't have been terrible.
What do you think about bringing back Alex Lewis and the signing of Connor McGovern?
I love McGovern. He doesn't not a lot of penalties on him. You know, he doesn't give up a lot of sacks. He's also gonna be good for Le'Veon. I like Alex Lewis too. You know, he has good grades on PFF, and like he's loved in the management. So I think that was a pretty good signing too. I think it was a fair price.
Yeah. And I want to thank you for calling in. What are your thoughts about Fant?
I don't like it. I think it's extremely overpaid for a guy that might not even be starting if they're so sold on Adoga.
Yeah. So let's say, I mean, in your mind, is he the starting left tackle, or do you think he's taking the right tackle spot?
To Adoga or Fant?
Or Fant.
Well, I mean, you're paying a guy $9 million. You would want him to start at left. But then that means you should go receiver round one.
Yeah. So are there any other free agents that you think are still out there that could really benefit the Jets? I mean, who are some of the other guys you think we should target?
Well, Mike Hilton at corner was one, but they put a tender on him, so I don't know about that. But on the O-line, probably GVE, Greg Van Roden, and possibly cutting Winters. Winters is always hurt, and
no, good.
I like Van Roden.
Yeah, he seems to be the guy that the Jets like. I mean, he's rumored a lot. When you're looking at, if you had your top three guys that you want to sign tomorrow, who would they be?
Van Roden, Pete, and maybe a guy like a corner who can, for cheap, who could come in to re-sign Brian Poole. Like on the open market, not to re-sign, definitely another corner.
Yeah, the corners are coming expensive, man. The market just took off today, which is kind of crazy. What do you want to do for backup quarterback? Are there any guys that you're looking at for backup quarterback?
Well, you could go someone in the draft like Montez. I don't know if you know him. Steve Montez. You could get him in the later rounds. I don't think there's a need to pay someone to be a backup quarterback when there's way more needs starting in free agency.
Yeah, that's a rough one, man. Sometimes having a proven veteran backup pays dividends. I mean, we saw not having one what it did to us last year.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting. You never know. James, thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a good night. All right, Joe, what we're going to do now is we're going to bring on Mr. Primetime. Mr. Primetime's been harassing me all night, calling my bad takes and whatever the hell else he's bothering me with. So let's bring him on.
Oh, he's calling back.
He's terrorizing me. What's up, Kevin?
Wow.
What's going on? How much time do you have to fight?
You got 10 minutes for you to fight. What do you want to fight about?
Let's go. I actually want to fight more with Joe and Jay, actually, than I want to fight with you.
Thank you. Go ahead. I'll just sit back and tweet right through. Let's do this.
Yeah, the first thing I just want to address, can we stop talking about the number of free agents that the Jets have to re-sign? I mean, have we actually taken a look at the list of 21 that we keep talking about? I mean, we're talking, let's go through it just really quickly. Bennett Jackson, Sam Ficken, Leo Kolometanji, I don't even know who the hell that is. EJ Bello. Arthur Millett, who, again, they already didn't tender him. You got Maurice Kennedy, David Fales, Paul Warlow, Ty Montgomery, who they didn't even use, Albert McClellan, Blake Countess, who they released, Brent Cavalli. I mean, which of these guys are we bringing back? Trevor Siemian, Rontez Miles?
Maybe. Why not?
Well,
we don't.
Yeah,
Joe.
Even if we bring back Miles, I mean, how much is he going to cost you? I mean, it's not like any of these guys. If we do bring them back, they're roster fillers at best. They're not costing you anything. And the guys that are going to replace them, they're not going to cost anything either. Those guys didn't have any roles last year.
Well, first off, I think what Jay was saying was there's just a lot of holes to fill in this roster in general as far as talent. There's not a lot of talent here. So trying to get guys in to fill those spots and you only have 8 draft picks, that's not feasible. You had to have made certain moves in free agency that haven't been made just yet. Maybe they're coming. We don't know for sure. But there were guys that were definitely out there that we could have signed that we didn't necessarily get yet. So you've got to do something, especially with the urgency that you feel is in this situation.
That's where I agree, but there's also a problem, though, because I don't feel like, because of what you just said, that there were guys that we could have signed, I don't feel like we have a ton of holes. Because look at what this offense could have been with moves that were realistically available to be made. We chose not to go after Jack Conklin. We chose not to pursue him. And go back to every single show over the last couple weeks. Listen to the numbers that were being thrown around by almost every single caller who said he was their priority. $16 million, $17 million a year, 4 years, 5 years. He signed for 3 years, $42 million. We weren't willing to pay that money for him. But if we were, we have him at right tackle, we have McGovern at center, and Trent Williams is there to be had in a trade. That is a dominant offensive line. And then guess what? You go into the draft at pick 11. If one of those tackles that you like, if they fall to you, guess what? You take them anyway, and you plug them in at left guard. That's an even more dominant offensive line. And your quarterback is set up for success. And guess what? This is a deep wide receiver draft class. If you don't sign Robbie Anderson, fine. Take a receiver in round 2. Take a receiver in round 3. I don't understand why we're saying there's so many holes when it is so easy to fix these moves if they would have did it right.
Well, it sounds like you were agreeing with us because, again, we said that those holes, and those are gigantic holes. Okay, the fact that we don't have a right tackle, the fact that we don't have a left tackle, the fact that you just talked about bringing McGovern in as a corner, or as a center, excuse me.
But I'm saying, though, after we make all those moves, they're going to be surrounded with your young quarterback still under his rookie contract, your Hall of Fame running back, your slot receiver who's pretty elite when he's healthy, your emerging young tight end, Chris Herndon, who we all forgot about because he wasn't able to play last year and then he got hurt. I mean, you also have, you brought back Griffin, who developed a nice chemistry with Arnold last year. You have some weapons to work with on offense if you fill the holes that you do have. That's a nice-looking offense if you do it right.
That's not the only holes that you would have, though, Kevin. You also have holes on the other side of the ball as well, first off. Second off, you would, if you were to take a tackle there, you would miss out on Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb or any of those guys that would be there. But then you swing over to your defense. You don't have an outside linebacker. You don't have a pass rusher. You don't have any corners. So, yes, there are gigantic holes there. Those are holes. Those are the holes we were talking about.
But my point is that you're not going to address all these holes in one offseason, and the defense can wait. Sam Darnold's a priority. On defense, you're also getting back C.J. Mosley. You're also getting back Avery Williamson if you don't cut him. And guess what? If you do cut him, you can sign Jordan Jenkins or Brian Poole or somebody else. You still have some money left over. You can still do something. The Chiefs signed for $3 million in July last year, and he was a huge part of that offensive line for them. There's ways to address holes later on, like with veterans. That's what they're going to have to do on defense.
But how does that help you in your cornerback spot? Really, again, those are holes. You can talk about bringing back Mosley and those guys, but you still don't have a pass rusher. You still don't have an outside linebacker. You still don't have corners. Still, you don't have a number 1 or 2 corner. You're talking about bringing back Poole like he's the number 1 corner. He is not. So you still don't have a number one or a number two. Okay, so you don't have an outside linebacker. You don't have a pass rusher. All those other holes we just talked about, you're filling through free agency. So what are you talking about?
All I'm saying is that if you do bring back Ryan Poole and Jordan Jenkins, you're pretty much bringing back the exact same defense with C.J. Mosley for next year.
And you still have no pass rusher, and you still have no number one.
That's fine. We should put a point
at all. That
you deal with it for a season.
Whatsoever.
You deal with it for a season. Let Sam Darnold thrive. Haven't we been talking about this for years?
Yes, we've been talking about it for years, and that's why we talked about holes that we need to fill on the roster.
And guess what? Good teams don't need to have every single hole plugged with a superstar. Their coaches can make up for some of that. We don't have that luxury on offense, and that's why we're talking about needing holes at every single spot.
No, we don't. You're right. Adam Gase is not a very good head coach, but there are still holes there. We don't have any wide receivers outside of Crowder. We don't have anything. We don't have a number one wide receiver or a number two. Passing all of this stuff up and acting like, oh, there's no issues here. Or he's just just let Sam Darnold thrive. Thrive with what? Who is he going to throw to? You're talking about bringing Robbie back like that's going to be cheap. It's not. He's going to want cash.
Okay,
that's why he hasn't been brought back just yet. So and even if you do bring Robbie back, what does that solve? He's not a number one. He's a very one-dimensional wide receiver.
Okay, so again, you don't sign Robbie Anderson, you take your wide receiver at pick 11, and you still trade for Trent Williams. That's still an offense that should put up points, realistically.
No, I would say you need to do more than that. Even if you bring back Trent Williams.
How much more are we supposed to do?
Because if you go get Trent Williams, that's taken away from your draft as well. You're giving up picks for that, too. Why do you
give up a second rounder next year? Give up a two next year.
Boy, a second rounder next
year. Right now they're saying we're going to hold it out for it, too.
Are you listening to yourself right now? So you're taking away from your draft when all you do is build through the draft.
I wouldn't give up a two this year. No way.
So you give up a second round pick next year. You're giving up a pick next year again to fill a hole. You keep talking about there's no holes, but you're filling these holes using the draft and using free agency.
With an elite left tackle who's going to protect my young quarterback. Absolutely. Haven't you been saying that yourself, that you want to do that?
Yes, I've been with it. I would go as I've been saying that myself. Yes, but you keep saying that there's no holes, and you're filling holes this entire time. You're saying there's no holes in this roster. There's not enough. Everything's going to be fine. It's not. What are you talking about?
I never said there's no holes. I'm saying that there's not like 12 to 15 holes like you guys keep making it out to be, like there's absolutely no hope. I'm saying that the no hope feeling comes from the fact that there's not a coaching staff that can utilize the talent that we do have. That's the problem here.
No.
There is some talent on this roster. It does not get utilized properly. Go back to every single show during the season. That's all we bitched about, was how the coaching staff isn't using the talent that we have right.
You know what's crazy is that I get what this is. This is you defending McCagnon because this is what you did for 4 years with your super icy take. You would come on every...
This is me pointing out some of the talent that is realistically on this roster that you guys said every single week wasn't being used properly during the season.
No.
Every week.
There's not a lot of...
Every week it was about Le'Veon Bell and how he wasn't being used right. The miscommunications on the offensive line. Where does that come from? Lack of coaching.
Listen, Kevin, that is absolutely true. There was issues offensively here, but there was also a lack of talent as well. You cannot tell me that this offensive line had talent on it. These guys were getting beat by anybody and everybody, and that is the doing of your friend Mike McCagnon. It's funny how you talk about
Jeremy Bates. Jeremy Bates had a worse offensive line and still put a point.
We shouldn't get rid of guys. We shouldn't do this. Why shouldn't we? We got to become someone innovative. You were the same guy that was backing Mike McCagnon left and right. It was you. It was you that told us that we could build this team through free agency. It was you that told us, it doesn't matter. Second-round picks, mid-round picks don't matter, just as long as you hit in the first round. It was you that
messed it up with Quentin Williams.
No, he messed it up far before Quentin Williams. He messed it up way before Quentin Williams. He messed it up with Hackenberg. He messed it up with Darius Stop and Chad Hansen.
Stop. We're going to go back to that.
All those guys.
If he doesn't take Quentin Williams last year and he takes Josh Allen and we have our pass rusher and we do what we did this offseason at offensive line and we go to the draft and we address receiver.
No offensive line. And you have no offensive
everything
line.
Else. We have Bell, we have Mosley, we have Adams and Marcus May, who you said better than Jamal Adams.
We have no talent.
How much more talent do we need? We need a coach who can utilize it, dude.
You're right. We have a bad coach, but we also had a horrible-ass general manager. That's what we had. We had a guy that overpaid.
We went from a bad coach to a worse coach. How do you evaluate? How do you evaluate what little talent is here?
We went from a bad general manager to another bad general manager that you backed constantly, that filled this roster with bums. That's exactly what happened.
I'm not excusing half the bad moves that he made, but we don't talk about any of the talented guys that are on here. Do you like Marcus May? Did you not say that he was better than Jamal Adams several months ago? So that, to me, is a pretty dominant safety tandem. Do you not like Sam Darnold? Do you not like Le'Veon Bell?
Kevin, they are safeties. Do you understand that? Jamal Adams.
Okay, that's right. They're not impact players.
They're not. Let me explain to you why, Kev. This is why I'm saying you don't get it. All-pro year, 7-9. All-pro year.
Because of the defense? Or because the offense didn't put up any points?
60-something to 3. All-pro year. We started the year.
Because the offense didn't put up points. Not because of Jamal Adams.
We were getting
and because there was no pass rush, and he was pretty much doing it on his own.
Oh, so wouldn't that lead to your buddy McCagnon not taking care of business? Wasn't it McCagnon that busted out a 2015
draft? Half the team was hurt last year. Half the team was hurt last year.
Bust out a 2015 draft, Kev? Didn't he do that?
Half the team was hurt last year. We won. Wait, hold on. One second. Half the team was hurt last year, and we won 7 games. So you figure if they're healthy, maybe they win a few more games. You factor in a bad coach. If they have a good coach, that's probably an 11-12 win roster, no?
First off, how do you even know that? How do you?
I'm doing the math.
You act like no. You're not doing the math. Let me tell you something. Injuries are not excuses. I watched the Philadelphia Eagles be completely decimated by injuries. They were starting guys. I don't even know who the hell they were. They got them from the YMCA parking lot. They played with themselves, man.
Who's the head coach?
Hard. They play hard. So guess what? Hey, guess what?
The head coach won a Super Bowl, right? Yeah.
You're right. You don't like. Hold on. You don't like Gaze. I don't like him either. Guess who hired him? Your buddy McCagnon.
No, Chris Johnson hired him with the recommendation of Peyton Manning.
No, McCagnon convinced him to hire him. Fam, that's a fact.
So you actually believe that Chris Johnson let the final say go to the guy who he was ready to fire 2 months later? I don't believe that.
You don't have to believe
that.
There were reports. Kevin, we were literally talking about it live. What are you talking about?
And there's reports that Chris Johnson was told after he got the call from Peyton Manning.
You know that me and
McCagnon was a part of the search, absolutely.
Right? He was a part of the search, and it was a sloppy-ass search, and he told Adam Gase to save himself. So if you don't like what's going on with this roster, if you don't like hearing about trades, then guess what? Blame yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and blame yourself, because you were the guy that was making videos constantly about McCagnon and talk about how we should give him another year to fill out his plan. You were the guy that was sitting around with your homemade draft charts trying to explain us how great of a general manager Mike McCagnon was. Knock it off, Kev. You've been coming out of your igloo with icy takes for years now, and that's the fact. If you don't like what this roster looks like, if you don't think, if you hate that we're not competing,
I do like pieces on this roster. They're just not being utilized correctly, as you have stated almost every single week during the season.
You're right.
That's the point.
You're right. A lot of those guys have not been used correctly, but guess what? There's also a big void of talent on this team. There's a big void of talent. You just talked about
not as big as you make it out to be.
Not as big as I make it out to be. We just got rid of Tremaine Johnson, who's one of the biggest free agents we had. We just got rid of him. Why? Because he couldn't play. He's ass. We are talking about going into next year with Bless Austin and Harrison starting. What are you talking about? There's not a void of talent on here. You're lucky. You should be thanking your lucky stars we got Greg Williams. Because if we didn't, nobody else can make it work with those two corners. What are you talking about? There's not a void of talent. We have no pass rushers. We have nobody to get after it. That was the same problem we had last year. Couldn't get any pressure unless we sent blitzes. What are you talking about? What are you saying? This is crazy.
I could go on for hours, but unfortunately, we're out of time.
I think what we should do, we should start the show off next week with you two, and I was going to sit and just tweet the whole time.
Please do.
I'm on lockdown. I'm good to go tomorrow night.
Let's go tomorrow night. I'm in. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. I'm in.
Please
Let's go.
8 o'clock tomorrow night.
I'll bring the fire.
I'll be right here.
Bring the ice.
I'll be right here
tomorrow night.
You bring the ice.
Let's go. Part 2.
8 o'clock tomorrow night. Thanks, Kev.
See you then.
All right. As everybody heard, we're doing a show tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Be safe, everybody. Wash your hands. Stay home. Things will get better. Take care of the elderly. Joe, it is your time to shine.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, I'm the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote our Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search Let's Talk Jets Radio. Like that page. Our content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message us. We'll message you right back. We love going back and forth with folks about this football team. Also, leave us some feedback. We love hearing about what you folks think we do here on Let's Talk Jets Radio. I am on Twitter as well at YoungJ000. Go ahead and tweet me, follow me. We can go back and forth. You want to troll me, no issues. I'm the troller under the bridge. I'll have my Darno jersey on. I will troll you right back. I'm also on YouTube as well at YoungJ00. Remember, that's 2 zeros on YouTube, 3 on Twitter. I do videos. I'll continue to do them about the Jets, continue to talk about the team. So if you want to troll me on there as well, go ahead and subscribe to my content. Message me on there as well, and I'll go back and forth with you on there as well. As always, folks, when you see me in person, it is arms out, chest open. Come on, man. Don't you get in, you know what I'm saying? Don't you start, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't you start. Because I'll get it. I did good. You know what I'm saying? I did my best behavior. I didn't do nothing. You better watch it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm stepping in the power of the people right now, and I'm not trying to hear it. All right. Listen, when you folks see me in person, it is arms out, chest open, free hugs for everyone. Okay. Don't listen to this guy. He's a hater. Okay. I love everybody. You can't separate me from the people. I want to thank you folks for listening. Without you people, we are absolutely nothing. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen and call in. You folks are the absolute best.
Hey, we will talk to everybody tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.